Two morgue workers were preparing a body for burial, dressing the deceased when suddenly, the corpse's leg twitched. The first worker, thinking he was seeing things, glanced at the grieving family members present. As he bent down for a closer look, an arm jerked upwards. This was no hallucination. He'd worked in the morgue for over 20 years and had never seen anything like it. He fainted dead away. At that very moment, the corpse sat bolt upright, stretched and coughed up a few loose teeth, leaving the onlookers utterly dumbfounded. It turned out there had been a mix-up. Two men with the exact same name had been in a car accident. A portly, jovial uncle, we call him, Hyun Cheol B, had suffered minor injuries, while a wealthy businessman, we call him Hyun Cheol A, had died. When death came to collect a soul, he mistakenly took Hyun Cheol B's. The error wasn't discovered until death returned to the underworld and began entering the information into the system. A big red error flashed across the screen. Death realized his mistake and immediately zipped back to the hospital with Hyun Cheol B's soul, only to discover the body had already been sent to the crematorium. What the? I was only gone for 8 minutes. Feeling terrible about the blunder, death placed Hyun Cheol B's soul into the body of the deceased businessman. And so, Hyun Cheol B found himself inhabiting the body of a wealthy stranger. Although they shared a name, their lives were worlds apart. Hyun Cheol B owned a small shop, and despite his gruff exterior, was a cheerful family man. He had a wife and 2 kids who lived a simple, happy life. The businessman, on the other hand, was a driven, workaholic CEO. He was cold and distant, often giving his wife the cold shoulder, and spending his free time with his mistress. Despite their strained relationship, his wife was devastated by his death. News of the businessman's miraculous resurrection spread like wildfire. His son was in shock. Dad's so tough, he even came back from the dead. Doctors and nurses from all over the hospital rushed to examine him. They had never witnessed anything so bizarre in their entire medical careers. Meanwhile, at home, Hyun Cheol B's wife watched the news report on TV, sighing, "Why couldn't that have been my husband?" Little did she know, it was. When Hyun Cheol B finally regained consciousness, he assumed the whole ordeal had been a strange dream. Then, a beautiful, unfamiliar woman called him, "Honey," and he became confused. The confusion turned to utter bewilderment when he caught sight of his reflection in a mirror. "Who is this handsome devil?" he wondered aloud, staring at his new, significantly more attractive face. Hyun Cheol B grabbed the businessman's mother's hand and insisted he wasn't her son. Then, in a desperate attempt to prove his point, he frantically tried to claw his way out of his own body, as if he could physically remove his soul. This display of apparent madness convinced the grieving mother that her son's brain had been damaged. Sobbing, she promised to get him the best possible care. But Hyun Cheol B, his mind racing, only wanted to reach his wife. He grabbed a phone and dialed her number. His wife, however, dismissed him as a prank caller. He pleaded, "It's me, honey. It's really me." But his wife, already heartbroken, lashed out, accusing him of being insensitive and cruel. "My body has been cremated, but I'm still alive," he cried. "Cremated? What's he talking about?" The businessman's mother asked, bewildered by her son's rambling. Desperate to prove his identity, Hyun Cheol B, now inhabiting the businessman's body, rushed to his own home. He blurted out intimate secrets, hoping his wife would recognize him. "Yanhua has a birthmark on her butt," he shouted. This declaration only horrified Yanhua, who was now convinced he was a stalker. She grabbed a shovel, threatening to crack his skull. Defeated, Hyun Cheol B retreated to the businessman's lavish home. Surrounded by unfamiliar luxury and the businessman's fair-skinned children, he felt a pang of longing for his own family. That night, as they lay in bed, the businessman's wife, Hai-jin, noticed something different. Her husband never curled up in a ball like this, and he certainly never whispered, "Good night." He didn't snore either. These unusual behaviors led her to believe that the trauma of death and resurrection had caused him to lose some of his memories, changing his personality. She had no idea that another man's soul now occupied her husband's body. Hyun Cheol B woke up, still trapped in the businessman's form. Realizing this wasn't a dream, he resigned himself to his strange new reality. In the dining room, he found Hai-jin had prepared breakfast. "Thank you," he said softly, surprising her with his unexpected politeness. "Just leave the dishes," she replied, still stunned. "I'll do them tonight after work. You work hard all day, and then come home to chores." Hyun Cheol B said gently, "I can do the dishes." Hai-jin stared at him in disbelief. He then asked, "Have you had breakfast?" She could hardly believe her ears. "If not, you should definitely grab something to eat," he added. It was the first time in years her husband had shown her such consideration. Witnessing her husband clear the table and wash the dishes, Hai-jin was convinced he was a changed man. Meanwhile, Hyun Cheol-bi, now without his own body, visited the restaurant he and his wife had run. Before the accident, they had been trying to secure a loan to buy the place outright, only to discover a mountain of debt they hadn't incurred. He'd been on his way to the bank to sort it out when the accident happened. The once bustling restaurant was now eerily quiet. He knew his family couldn't possibly repay the debt, let alone afford to buy the restaurant. Just then, the businessman's mother called. Hyun Cheol-bi, swallowing his pride, explained the situation and asked for a loan. To his astonishment, she immediately transferred $1 billion to his account. Overwhelmed with gratitude, he had no idea she believed he was her son, suffering from amnesia. Next, he disguised himself as a delivery driver and brought the money to Yanhua. Seeing her accept the package filled him with relief. Inside, Yanhua found the cash and a letter. Hyun Cheol-bi, pretending to be a close friend, explained the money was repayment for debt and provided the businessman's contact information, offering further assistance if needed. He sat outside their house from morning till night, waiting. Finally, he received a text from his daughter, expressing her gratitude. Tears streamed down his face. Returning to the businessman's unfamiliar home, he received a phone call. A sultry voice purred. "Honey, I miss you so much." He froze. The businessman had a mistress? Is this his lover? He thought. Did he forget about this too? To his surprise, Hai-jin already knew about the affair. She was preparing divorce papers, saying they would discuss it further once his memory returned. Clueless, Hyun Cheol-bi decided to investigate. He went to the address the woman had texted him. As he opened the door, she pulled him inside and threw her arms around him. Startled, he pushed her away. He quickly realized this was no ordinary relationship. Looking at the woman, he made a hasty retreat. Back on the street, he muttered to himself, "The nerve of this guy. A beautiful wife at home, and he's messing around with someone else." Back at the businessman's house, Hyun Cheol-bi saw Hai-jin cooking and guiltily hid behind a wall. Later, as she handed him his medication and turned to leave, he stopped her, apologizing for hurting her with his infidelity. Hai-jin's eyes welled up with tears. The next day, Hyun Cheol-bi snuck back to his own house. Looking at a family photo on the wall, he felt a lump in his throat. He rummaged through the drawers and finally found what he was looking for: his underwear. When Yanhua returned home, she noticed her husband's underwear was missing. Nothing of value was taken, just his underwear. She found it odd. Meanwhile, Hai-jin, fresh out of the shower, discovered Hyun Cheol-bi's stash in the closet. Dozens of brightly colored, oversized briefs stared back at her. Confused, she confronted her husband. "These aren't yours," she said, bewildered. Hyun Cheol-bi, flustered, stammered, I just wanted a change of style. It's my prerogative." He scooped up the underwear and fled. Hai-jin was speechless. That evening, as she brought him his medication and a plate of his favorite pineapple, he didn't even glance at it. "Why aren't you eating it?" she asked. "I don't like pineapple," he replied. Hai-jin froze. "You're not Hyun Cheol," she whispered. Hyun Cheol-bi panicked, but Hai-jin rationalized his behavior, attributing it to the after effects of his death and resurrection. "He's not so bad now anyway," she thought, turning to leave. Hyun Cheol-bi breathed a sigh of relief. He had dodged a bullet with Hai-jin, but now he had to face the music at the businessman's company. He was a cook, not a banker. How was he supposed to run a bank? As he stepped into the building, employees recognized him and greeted him enthusiastically. He awkwardly bowed, surprising everyone with his sudden humility. He continued to bow deeply in response to his subordinates' congratulations, leaving them utterly confused. They exchanged bewildered glances in his office. Finally, he managed to get rid of his staff. Just then, a woman burst in. It was the same woman he'd encountered at the hotel. The passionate woman from 2 days prior turned out to be his subordinate. Hyun Cheol, mortified, was saved by a knock at the door. The woman left, but a bigger problem remained. He knew nothing about banking. Then, something unexpected happened. As he opened a finance textbook, his brain seemed to absorb the information effortlessly. Formulas and concepts he'd never encountered before suddenly made sense. He was startled. Had he somehow inherited Hyun Cheol's knowledge along with his body? Just then, his assistant informed him of an international conference call. Panicked, he took the phone, listening to the rapid-fire English with a sinking feeling. But then, he realized he understood what they were saying. He even responded instinctively in fluent English. He was stunned. Finally, the workday ended. But seeing everyone still at their desks, he asked his assistant, who he needed to inform before leaving. Everyone stared at him blankly. Thankfully, a colleague knows him, reminding him that he is the boss. Hyun Cheol-bi, remembering his newfound authority, awkwardly bowed his way out of the office. His employees, accustomed to his previous arrogance, were convinced he was a changed man. He went straight to a bookstore, hoping to use Hyun Cheol's intellect to brush up on his banking skills. Meanwhile, Death, realizing the gravity of his error, sought help from his superior. He initially scoffed at the youthful appearance of his superior, but was quickly humbled by the being's abilities. The superior claimed to be able to transform into 20,000 different forms and chided Death for his incompetence, explaining that he'd been sent to rectify the situation and put Hyun Cheol-bi's soul back where it belonged. Death, now thoroughly intimidated, apologized profusely. Together, they set off to find Hyun Cheol-bi, who was diligently studying in the library. Death was surprised Hyun Cheol-bi could understand English, but his superior explained it was perfectly normal. Hyun Cheol-bi's soul was inhabiting Hyun Cheol's body, which remained unchanged, including the brain. While memories might be lost with a soul swap, innate talents and instincts remain. To demonstrate, the superior snapped their fingers and transformed into a stunningly attractive woman. They then sashayed past Hyun Cheol-bi. Hyun Cheol-bi's eyes followed the woman, glued to her form. Death watched, aghast. Even with a different soul, Hyun Cheol's body, or perhaps Hyun Cheol-bi's inherent nature, couldn't resist a beautiful woman. This worried the superior, nicknamed Mao, for this demonstration. How could they ensure Hyun Cheol-bi would willingly return to his own wife when Hyun Cheol's wife was so attractive? That evening, Hai-jin had dinner waiting. When Hyun Cheol-bi arrived home, he suddenly asked how they had met. Hai-jin giggled, giving a vague answer. Hyun Cheol-bi, misinterpreting her shyness, assumed it was love at first sight, with him relentlessly pursuing her. Hai-jin was touched by this imagined romantic tale. Later, drowsy and ready for bed, Hyun Cheol-bi noticed Hai-jin wasn't in their room. He found her in the living room, looking worried. Their son had gone on a treasure hunt and hadn't returned. Expecting anger, Hai-jin was surprised when Hyun Cheol-bi chuckled and reassured her. "Boys will be boys," he said. "He's at that age. Don't worry too much." Hai-jin was astonished. Her husband would have flown into a rage. She questioned him, but Hyun Cheol-bi simply replied, "Why get angry? Raising kids isn't just a mother's job." Hai-jin felt a sudden wave of affection and reliance on him. Worn out from worrying, Hai-jin fell asleep on the sofa. Waking up later, Hyun Cheol-bi gently draped a blanket over her. He didn't realize she had already been awake for some time, observing his unexpected kindness. Arriving at work early, Hyun Cheol-bi was met by the police. They were investigating a fraudulent loan connected to Hyun Cheol. He rushed to the bank's lobby. Comparing records, he realized the loan originated from this very bank. He'd never taken out a loan, yet there it was, a massive sum under his name. As he argued with the bank staff, he recalled being humiliated by Hyun Cheol, who had refused to believe his claims of innocence. He'd been on his way to the bank with proof when the accident occurred. He went to the restroom and stared at his reflection, and the memory solidified. It was Hyun Cheol. Rage consumed him. He slammed his fist into the mirror, shattering it. Calmer now, he returned to his office and told the police the victim had been wronged. He assured them he would fully cooperate with the investigation and see to it that those responsible were punished. He then headed to the gym and ran on the treadmill at top speed, nearly collapsing but refusing to stop. He furiously pounded on the exercise equipment, almost breaking it. He was punishing Hyun Cheol's body, the body he now inhabited. His investigation revealed that Hyun Cheol was indeed behind the fraudulent loan. He felt a surge of hatred for this body, this man who had ruined his life. He continued his self-destructive workout, alarming the gym staff. That night, he stumbled home drunk. Hai-jin was still distraught over their missing son. She sighed, watching him collapse onto the sofa. The next morning, Hyun Cheol-bi surveyed Hyun Cheol's wardrobe with disgust. He ripped the clothes off the hangers and threw them on the floor. Hai-jin entered, appalled by the mess. "Our son has been missing for 2 days," she scolded. "And you're not only unconcerned, but you're trashing the house." Hyun Cheol-bi exploded. He screamed about the soul swap, the accident, and how Hyun Cheol had ruined everything. "I hate this body," he roared. Hai-jin stared at him, speechless. At the bank, the vice president, assuming the amnesia was causing Hyun Cheol-bi distress, reminded him that recordings of the previous annual meeting were available on his computer, suggesting he review them to catch up on company matters. Hyun Cheol-bi desperately wanted to tell Yeonhwa the truth, but feared she wouldn't be able to handle it. He lied, claiming he'd been undergoing psychiatric treatment and had wandered out during a delusional episode. Yanhua, convinced he was mentally ill, listened patiently. He expressed his condolences, saying he and her husband had been close friends. Yanhua, however, said she'd known all her husband's close friends, and she'd never seen him before. Hyuncheol B then concocted another lie. He claimed he and her husband had pooled their money for a lottery ticket, but he'd run off with the winnings years ago, always feeling guilty about it. Upon hearing of her husband's death, he'd been overwhelmed with remorse and wanted to repay the money. This explanation finally satisfied Yanhua. He then impulsively asked if she missed her husband. Of course, she replied sadly. Me too, he blurted out, immediately apologizing, remembering he was supposed to be Hyuncheol. Yanhua urged him to continue his treatment and take his medication. As they parted ways, a bus sped past. Hyuncheol B instinctively pulled her back, further solidifying her belief in his mental instability. When she learned he still worked at the bank, she worried about his ability to handle finances in his condition. He assured her he didn't handle money directly and that everything was computerized. Hyuncheol's friend, Dak Pool, witnessed this interaction. Dak Pool, aware of the soul swap, informed Hyuncheol's mother about Hyuncheol B's visit with Yanhua. The news that her son preferred commoner over his wife infuriated her. That evening, she stormed over to Yanhua's house. But just as she was about to confront Yanhua about Hyuncheol, she inexplicably started dancing uncontrollably. Death and Mao, watching from the steps, sighed in exasperation. We can't let them meet, Mao said. Yanhua, terrified by the dancing woman, assumed it was a genetic condition and slammed the door shut. After they left, the mother returned to normal, unaware of her bizarre behavior. She had failed to make any headway with Yanhua. She marched to the bank and ordered her son to quit his job. We own plenty of companies, she declared. Your father left you $2.5 billion. You don't need to ride the bus and risk another accident. Buy the safest, most expensive car on the market. Hyuncheol B was stunned. He had no idea he was so wealthy. His mother then interrogated him about Yanhua. What if Hai Jin finds out? She shrieked. He was surprised she even knew about Yanhua. She launched into a tirade, accusing him of neglecting his wife and chasing after his mistress. Men with money are all the same, she declared. But I have a son. He protested weakly. His mother nearly fainted from exasperation. Meanwhile, Yanhua had an appointment with the police at the bank. Dak Pool, assuming she was there to cause trouble for Hyuncheol, tried to send her away. But Yanhua noticed his name tag. Why do you have the same name as Hyuncheol? She asked, puzzled. Just then, Hyuncheol B spotted Yanhua. Overjoyed, he greeted her warmly. The police officer approached, wanting to speak with Yanhua. The three of them went into an office. Noticing the identical names on the officers and Hyuncheol B's business cards, Yanhua confronted Hyuncheol B. Why did you give me a false name when we met? She asked. He stammered, saying he didn't want his name to remind her of her husband. The police officer, increasingly suspicious, asked why he hadn't mentioned his relationship with the deceased during the previous investigation. Hyuncheol B, flustered, claimed the repaid debt had made the connection irrelevant. The officer remained unconvinced. Meanwhile, Dak Pool informed Hyuncheol's mother that Yanhua was at the bank, meeting with Hyuncheol. The mother decided to confront her again. Posing as a client, she called Yanhua and scheduled a meeting. Upon arrival, Yanhua recognized her as the dancing woman. Getting straight to the point, the mother asked how old Yanhua's daughter was. Confused, Yanhua replied that her daughter was in middle school. The mother was shocked. Realizing the girl was the same age as her grandson, she mistakenly concluded that her son had been with Yanhua on his wedding night. You're a scoundrel, she exclaimed, then apologized to Yanhua for the years of suffering her son had caused. Yanhua was bewildered. The mother then expressed her desire to meet Yanhua's daughter, feeling sorry for the child growing up without a father's love. Just then, Death, sitting nearby, snapped his fingers. The mother began dancing uncontrollably again. Yanhua, assuming another episode, fled, attracting stares from onlookers. Death, mortified, apologized to the bewildered mother and vanished. Hyuncheol B, learning of the incident, berated Dak Pool for telling his mother about Yanhua. Dak Pool simply shrugged, expressing surprise at Hyuncheol's sudden interest in a 27, plain Jane. He then asked how Hyuncheol B knew her, wondering if she was the woman from the brokerage firm. Her last name isn't No, Hyuncheol B corrected. It's Go. Dak Pool was stunned. Have you regained your memories? He asked. Hyuncheol B was equally surprised. That evening, Sung Moo, a supermarket manager, took Hae-jin to dinner. He confessed his feelings for her, saying sharing good food with someone he liked was the greatest happiness. Hae-jin was thoughtful. On their way back to the office, Sung Moo asked about her relationship with her husband. He pointed out that many couples stayed together, despite unhappy marriages. Marriage isn't just about whether the relationship is good or not. Hae-jin replied. Sung Moo confessed he was divorced, admitting his marriage hadn't been based on love. Meanwhile, Hyun Cheol-bi's father, working at a construction site, nearly fell to his death. Death intervened, saving his life. Back in town, Yeonhwa was researching Hyun Cheol's insurance records. She discovered he'd received a car insurance payout on the day of the accident, the same day her husband had died. She was stunned by the coincidence. The mistress received a cryptic text warning her that the police in Yeonhwa were investigating the loans, and that Hyun Cheol was also looking into the matter. She rushed to his office, urging him to stop. The police are already investigating, she pleaded. You'll ruin yourself. How did you know the police were investigating me? Hyun Cheol-bi demanded. The mistress stammered, unable to answer. Just then, his assistant arrived with documents. Hyun Cheol-bi asked him to investigate the loan records. It turned out the loan had been fully repaid on the day of the car accident, the day he'd been hospitalized. The loan officer in charge was a Song Joon from another branch. He called the other branch, only to learn that Song Joon had been on leave for 6 months. The next day, the chairman arrived with 2 tutors for Hyun Cheol-bi, mentioning a dinner with Chairman Lee the following evening to celebrate his recovery. The chairman found Hyun Cheol-bi's newfound humility rather odd. As the chairman left, Vice President Yuk noticed the mistress acting strangely. Later, finding Hyun Cheol-bi still at his desk, lost in thought, Vice President Yuk, sympathetic to his amnesia, mentioned that Hyun Cheol had recorded all his monthly meetings. Perhaps watching them will jog your memory, he suggested. Hyun Cheol-bi began reviewing the videos. He saw Hyun Cheol as focused and ruthless in business. Suddenly, flashes of Hyun Cheol's memories flooded his mind. The humiliation, the dismissal from the bank. He fumbled for their IDs, a chilling realization dawning on him. These weren't his memories. He felt a surge of fear, dropping the IDs. Was Hyun Cheol's soul returning? Just then, Yeonhwa called, needing his ID number for some paperwork. Out of habit, he recited his own ID number. Yeonhwa was stunned. Who are you? She whispered. He hung up abruptly. Yeonhwa's suspicions intensified. Hyun Cheol-bi summoned the mistress to his office. Besides falsifying my loan documents, he asked, did you do this for anyone else? She remained silent. I value my reputation, he pressed. Would I risk it for a measly 200 million won? She still didn't answer. So, if I regain my memories, he continued, you'll be fine, right? Go ahead and investigate, she challenged. He dismissed her. As soon as she left, his demeanor changed. He was mimicking Hyun Cheol's speech and mannerisms, hoping to uncover the truth behind the embezzlement. Dak Pool arrived, wanting to take Hyun Cheol-bi to meet with the chairman. Both Hyun Cheol and I were framed. Hyun Cheol-bi insisted. You're delusional again. Dak Pool sighed. At Chairman Lee's dinner party, more of Hyun Cheol's memories surfaced. Through their conversation, Hyun Cheol-bi learned that Hyun Cheol had bent the rules to help Chairman Lee with a financial problem, and in return, Chairman Lee had promised to introduce him to Assemblyman Sun Woo. Hyun Cheol-bi realized just how ambitious Hyun Cheol had been. That evening, Sung Moo drove Hae-jin home. He confessed his feelings again, but she firmly rejected him. As she got out of the car, he sat watching her, determined not to give up. Hae-jin found Hyun Cheol-bi sitting in the garden. What are you doing here? She asked. Help me, he pleaded. Meanwhile, the mistress spoke with her mysterious contact. If Hyun Cheol regains his memory, we're finished. She panicked. She wanted to resign and flee the country, but her contact refused, ordering her to finish the job. I want to find my memories. Hyun Cheol-bi told Hae-jin. Please help me. You've changed so much, she said. If you don't care about our son, why are you so concerned about that other girl at school? She recently lost her father, he explained. I felt sorry for her. He then asked if she truly wanted a divorce. Hae-jin nodded. Hyun Cheol never loved me anyway, she said, walking away. Sung Moo witnessed the entire exchange. Back inside, Hae-jin brought Hyun Cheol-bi his herbal medicine and asked why he wasn't eating pineapple. He reluctantly took a bite. Don't rush, she said gently. We'll find your memories together. She handed him a CD. This is the music we listened to when we first met at the record store, she explained. It was Hyun Cheol's gift to me. He played the CD. Jin stood outside the study, listening, lost in memories of their first encounter. Later, she went to check on their son, only to find he was gone again. He and his friends were heading to the spot where they'd encountered death, determined to prove it wasn't a hallucination. He's run away again, Jin told Hyun Cheol-bi, expecting anger. Boys will be boys, he replied calmly. Don't worry. Jin, however, was furious. She berated him, explaining how Hyun Cheol's favoritism towards their academically gifted daughter had fueled their son's rebellion. Instead of getting angry, Hyun Cheol-bi apologized. Tears welled up in Jin's eyes. I hurt him, he said softly. Let me fix it. Jin was taken aback by his unexpected compassion. I'm sorry, she said. I was too harsh. You're still recovering. It's okay, he reassured her. What does he like to eat? He asked, already planning a special meal. You're so different, Jin murmured. As he was about to reveal his true identity, their daughter walked into the living room, interrupting them. Unable to reach his son, Kang Ho, Hyun Cheol-bi called his daughter Jisoo, asking for her help. Kang Ho, having just spoken with Jisoo, received a text from his father. Puzzled by his father's recent strange behavior, he decided to return home. He found Hyun Cheol-bi expertly preparing a meal. As soon as Kang Ho entered, Jin started to scold him. Hyun Cheol-bi intervened, shielding his son. Kang Ho stared at his father in disbelief. Then, he tasted the food. It was delicious. He couldn't believe his father had cooked it. Jin watched them laughing together, hardly able to believe her eyes. Did you find any treasure? Hyun Cheol-bi asked his son. Kang Ho excitedly described his adventure and a magical skill he discovered. He expected his father to dismiss him, but Hyun Cheol-bi said, I believe you. The next day, Jisoo received a thank you text from Hyun Cheol-bi. Reading it as she descended the stairs, she missed a step and stumbled. Suddenly a hand grasped hers, preventing a fall. She looked up and saw death, smiling at her, before vanishing. Jisoo looked around, but no one was there. Confused, she stared at her hand. That evening, Hyun Cheol-bi's father told Yeonhwa and Jisoo about being saved at the construction site. Jisoo recounted her own near fall. Yeonhwa found the coincidences unsettling. Maybe Dad is watching over us, Jisoo suggested. Yeonhwa quickly left Hyun Cheol-bi's office, wrestling with a growing suspicion that this Hyun Cheol was her husband. Even as she outwardly denied it, Hyun Cheol arrived for a televised interview. Faced with a complex financial question, his mind went blank. He recalled Dak Pool asking why he hadn't canceled the interview. I have to face the other me, he'd replied. Suddenly, a flood of financial knowledge filled his mind, allowing him to answer the interviewer's questions with surprising fluency and expertise. Afterward, Dak Pool drove him to a construction site where his father worked. Seeing his father's hardship, Hyun Cheol-bi impulsively offered to sell Dak Pool's car to help his family. Dak Pool reminded him of his vast fortune. Why sell my car? He asked, incredulous. That evening, sitting in the garden lost in thought, Hyun Cheol-bi saw his young daughter returning from school. They chatted. He asked about her dreams. I don't know, she replied. To be number one in my class. That's not right, he said gently. Grades don't determine happiness. Eat well, be healthy, and be happy. He reminded her it was the weekend, and she should relax, watch TV, and read comics. They walked hand in hand back to the house. Jin watched them from the window. The next day, Jin took Hyun Cheol-bi to the place where they'd first met. Meanwhile, at home, Yeonhwa watched the televised interview. Stunned by Hyun Cheol-bi's familiar mannerisms, identical to her husband's, she recalled his words during their first encounter. I didn't die. My soul was cremated and entered another body. A chilling fear gripped her. At the record store, Hyun Cheol-bi paused. Memories of both men flooding his mind. He was becoming a blend of two lives. What is it? Jin asked, noticing his sudden stillness. I'm remembering. Your phone number, written on my palm, he said, recalling their first meeting. Just then his phone rang. It was Yeonhwa. He glanced at Jin, then turned away to answer. I want to see you today, she said. Unable to leave Jin at that moment, he rescheduled for the following day. Is that from your mistress? Jin asked, catching Hyun Cheol-bi on the phone. He quickly denied it and suggested they visit a familiar restaurant. Jin assumed his memories were returning, but she was mistaken. Were you seeing someone else back then? She pressed, hurt and suspicious. He vehemently denied it. During dinner, he kept staring at her. Why do you keep looking at me? She asked, self-conscious. Because you're beautiful, he replied simply. Jin thought he was losing his mind again. They shopped for groceries, returning home laden with bags. "Since when do you cook?" Jin asked, surprised. "People who come back from the dead often have superpowers," Kang Ho quipped, joining them. Hyun-cheol invited Jin to cook with him. She readily agreed. He gently brushed the flour off her cheek, a tender gesture that didn't go unnoticed. Later, as she dried her hair, he watched her, mesmerized. Catching his gaze, he quickly feigned sleep. "Hyun-cheol never sleeps on his side," she remarked. He immediately rolled onto his back. "Don't try to change," she said softly. "I like you better this way." He looked at her, surprised. Jin, realizing she'd spoken her true feelings, blushed. They opened up to each other that night, sharing stories from their past. "Were you Hyun-cheol's first love?" he asked. "I only know that he was my first love," she replied. They gazed at each other, a silent understanding passing between them. Meanwhile, Yeon-hwa, remembering the news reports of Hyun-cheol's resurrection, searched for information online, only to find many articles had been deleted. She rushed to the morgue, determined to confirm her suspicions. The overworked morgue attendant, tired of reporters, brushed her off. Yeon-hwa confided in her father. "Do you believe it?" she asked. "I do," he replied, recalling his miraculous rescue at the construction site. "Do you believe a soul can enter another body?" She pressed. "That's impossible," he scoffed, attributing her thoughts to too many movies. He then suggested she invite Hyun-cheol over for dinner, to thank him for his help with the loan. The next day, Hyun-cheol practically bounced into the car. Giddy with excitement about seeing Yeon-hwa, he cautioned Dak-pool not to tell his mother about their meeting, adding that he was starting to feel comfortable in Hyun-cheol's body. Dak-pool, amused by his friend's cheerful demeanor, chuckled and drove off. Yeon-hwa expressed her gratitude for his help with the insurance policy and invited him to lunch. She took him to their old restaurant and ordered his favorite seafood noodles. As they ate, she suddenly said, "If you have something to say it now." Hyun-cheol froze but remained silent. She then gave him a gift. He opened it to find the shirt she had given him for his birthday. Yeon-hwa watched him intently, but his expression revealed nothing. Finally, she said, "My father wants to thank you. He's invited you to dinner." Hyun-cheol readily accepted. Dak-pool, seeing them leave the restaurant, immediately called Hyun-cheol's mother. Mortified by her previous dancing episodes, she dreaded seeing Yeon-hwa again. She ordered Dak-pool to follow them. Back at his office, Hyun-cheol checked his account balance. Suddenly, two voices echoed in his mind. "This isn't your money," Hyun-cheol protested. "You're dead. It's my money now. I am you," Hyun-cheol retorted. "Shut up. You're not me," Hyun-cheol raged. The internal struggle intensified, Hyun-cheol desperately trying to maintain control. He then called Yeon-hwa and said he'd be coming for dinner that evening. He arrived at Yeon-hwa's house, handing her father 30 million won with the firm condition that he stop working at the construction site. "I feel restless if I don't work," his father-in-law protested. "Your back is bad, your blood pressure is high," Hyun-cheol argued. "And haven't you been playing Go lately?" The family stared at him, bewildered. Realizing he'd revealed too much, he quickly changed the subject, saying he was hungry. He was delighted to eat Yeon-hwa's cooking. They took a family photo, a moment of bittersweet joy. Meanwhile, at work, Jin found herself missing him. She texted, asking if he wanted to have dinner together. Jin returned home and saw Hyun-cheol hadn't responded to her text. Tidying his study, she found a box containing a notebook filled with handwritten recipes. A chef's secret scrawled in unfamiliar handwriting. Meanwhile, Hyun-cheol's efforts to help Yeon-hwa with her insurance had resulted in a complaint filed with the bank. His colleagues, analyzing the situation, assumed the complaint had come from their own branch. Their performance was slipping, and their branch manager seemed more interested in cooking for them than in addressing the issue. He finished preparing the meal and called his staff in to eat, only to be met with grim faces. Glancing at a computer screen, he saw the branch transfer notice. They were replacing him. He forced a smile, urging them to eat, then retreated to his office. His colleagues sat before the delicious food, unable to eat. Dak-pool encouraged them, and they finally began to pick at their meals. They expressed their outrage at the unfair treatment, and Dak-pool finally realized Yeon-hwa wasn't the other woman. Alone in his office, Hyun-cheol listened to his favorite music, eyes closed. When his staff had finished eating, he changed his clothes. Suddenly, his demeanor shifted, his eyes sharpening with Hyun-cheol's characteristic intensity. Everyone in the branch felt the change. It was as if Hyun-cheol's soul had returned. He strode through the bank with a newfound confidence, like a man on a mission. Even Dak Pool grinned. He marched into the chairman's office and demanded another month to prove himself, vowing to regain their top ranking. The chairman, seeing the familiar ruthless Hyun Cheol return, readily agreed. "This is the real Hyun Cheol," he murmured. No sooner had Hyun Cheol left than the mistress appeared, wanting to resign. The chairman refused. He wanted her to stay and keep an eye on Hyun Cheol. Hyun Cheol's mother contacted Yeon Hwa, demanding a meeting. "Did your son come back to life on the day of the funeral?" Yeon Hwa asked directly. "Yes," the mother replied, leaving Yeon Hwa speechless. "I couldn't believe he was alive, right there with me," she continued, still awestruck by the miracle. "You've misunderstood," Yeon Hwa said to Hyun Cheol's mother. "There's nothing between us. I think my husband died in place of your son." Before the mother could process this, Yeon Hwa excused herself and hurried out of the restaurant. As she left, she bumped into Hai Jin. Yeon Hwa quickly hailed a cab. "I don't want to go there," she muttered as the cab pulled away. The driver was Mao, who made an excuse to let her out early. Just then, Hyun Cheol B hailed a cab across the street. The driver who stopped was also Mao. As Yeon Hwa walked away, she saw Hyun Cheol B approaching from the opposite direction. Mao had orchestrated their encounter. A gust of wind whipped Yeon Hwa's scarf away. Hyun Cheol B retrieved it and gently tied it around her neck. But when she confronted him with her suspicions, he denied being her husband. "Why did you tell me you were my husband?" she cried. "You knew about Jisoo's astigmatism. You told my father you were his son. You said the man who revived on the day of the accident was my husband. Don't believe what I said when I first woke up," he pleaded. "I'm not your husband. I'm a different Hyun Cheol." Yeon Hwa, trembling with grief and disappointment, turned and walked away. Hyun Cheol B, tears in his eyes, also turned and left. They walked in opposite directions. "You didn't help at all," Death scolded Mao. "This place holds their most cherished memories," Mao explained. "I thought they would recognize each other here." Yeon Hwa waited for a bus, but Death, disguised as the driver, bypassed her stop. Then a taxi pulled up. Death was the driver, his face etched with guilt. Sensing her sadness, he played some music, but it was all heartbreakingly melancholic. Yeon Hwa broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. Death watched her, his heart heavy with sorrow. Hyun Cheol B stared at his ID, realizing he still had unfinished business. He couldn't return to his old life yet. He tossed the ID into the river. He was Hyun Cheol now, the bank branch manager, and he had to accept that. Unable to focus on work, Yeon Hwa's friend took her out to visit clients and do some shopping. At a clothing store, Yeon Hwa tried on a dress and shoes, a smile returning to her face for the first time in days. At the checkout, the price was announced as 1,580,000 won. Yeon Hwa, thinking it was 158,000 won, quickly backed out of the purchase, embarrassed. "I thought you were going to splurge today," her friend teased. "What's wrong?" "My biggest regret is never buying my husband anything over 200,000 won," Yeon Hwa confessed, tears in her eyes. "I always said I'd buy him nice clothes when we had more money. I never thought he'd leave me so soon." Her friend hugged her comfortingly. That evening, Yeon Hwa arrived home to find the dress and shoes she'd tried on at her doorstep. She rushed inside, startled. Death and Mao watched from afar. They'd hoped to cheer her up, but Death doubted she'd keep the gifts. "She's too honest," he said. Just then, Yeon Hwa opened the door and brought the items inside, proving Death wrong. Back in her room, Yeon Hwa deleted the family photo they'd taken with Hyun Cheol. To her dismay, her daughter had printed the photo on a t-shirt. Yeon Hwa, overcome with emotion, demanded she take it off. Jisoo, confused by her mother's outburst, protested. "That man isn't your father," Yeon Hwa cried. "Your father is dead." Hai Jin, increasingly suspicious, began texting Hyun Cheol B, trying to gauge his feelings. Officer Hong, investigating the vandalism of Hyun Cheol B's car, obtained phone records for both him and Hyun Cheol, discovering they had never contacted each other. They hadn't been friends, as Hyun Cheol B had claimed. Hai Jin, already suspecting Yeon Hwa was involved with her husband, saw her mother-in-law meeting with Yeon Hwa. She confronted her mother-in-law, demanding to know the nature of their relationship. The mother-in-law, flustered and confused, told Hai Jin she'd explain everything later, and hurried away, deepening Hai Jin's suspicions. The next day at work, troubled by the previous day's events, Hai Jin called her mother-in-law, seeking answers. The mother-in-law, seeing her number, quickly hung up. Hai Jin called Dak Pool, asking if he knew Jisoo. Dak Pool feigned ignorance, and Hai Jin hung up. Frustrated, Dak Pool immediately went to Hyun Cheol B and scolded him for his treatment of Hai Jin. "If you don't love her, Divorce her and let her go, he urged. Hyun Cheol-bi remained silent, then pulled out the divorce papers from his desk drawer. The mistress was promoted to assistant branch manager. As her subordinate helped her unpack, she snatched her laptop away. "Don't touch this," she snapped. She then asked Dakpool to move her belongings into her new office. In the process, Dakpool misplaced the vault key. Hyun Cheol-bi called a staff meeting, apologizing for the branch's declining performance and asking for their help in turning things around. Everyone enthusiastically offered suggestions for boosting sales. The mistress, however, targeted Hyun Cheol-bi. "You're the branch manager," she sneered. "Tell people what to do, don't beg for their help." "I thought we were on good terms," he retorted. "Why aren't you helping? Why are you kicking me when I'm down?" His colleagues stared at the mistress, who fell silent. The staff began working overtime, distributing flyers, and even visiting temples to pray for improved sales. Hyun Cheol-bi contacted a close friend, asking him to deposit a large sum of money into his branch. The friend, happy to support his buddy, the branch manager, readily agreed and then invited Hyun Cheol-bi out for drinks and kiwi fruit. After a couple of drinks, Hyun Cheol-bi suddenly collapsed. His friend rushed him to the hospital and called his family, finding "wife" listed in his contacts. To his surprise, Yeon-hwa answered. She now knew Hyun Cheol-bi had her number saved as "wife." Despite his denials, she was shaken. Hyun Cheol-bi asked Dakpool to take his father-in-law home. During the drive they chatted, and Dakpool learned that the older man's son, also named Hyun Cheol, had died in an accident not long ago. After dropping him off, Dakpool pondered the strange coincidence. He remembered Hyun Cheol's words and behavior after his resurrection, and suspicion began to form. Dakpool called Hyun Cheol-bi, but his friend answered, quickly informing him of Hyun Cheol-bi's hospitalization. Meanwhile, at home, Hae-jin was examining Hyun Cheol-bi's mysterious box when Dakpool called with the news. She was rushed to the hospital. Dakpool arrived first, followed closely by Hae-jin. She blamed herself for forgetting to tell Hyun Cheol-bi about his kiwi allergy. As they left the hospital, they ran into Yeon-hwa. An awkward, silent exchange followed. Yeon-hwa turned to leave, but Hae-jin stopped her. "What are you doing here?" she asked. Yeon-hwa's eyes flickered towards Hyun Cheol-bi, who looked panicked. "I'm visiting a friend," she lied, then quickly added, "Wrong building," and hurried away. Dakpool pulled Hyun Cheol-bi into a waiting car. Yeon-hwa paused, looking back at Hyun Cheol-bi, who also glanced back at her before getting into the car. Hae-jin noticed the exchange. Back home, Hyun Cheol-bi saw his box had been opened. "What's this?" Hae-jin asked, holding up the notebook. "A friend asked me to keep it," he lied. "Was running into Yeon-hwa just a coincidence?" she continued. "Yes," he stammered. "I believe you," Hae-jin said softly. "Whatever you tell me, I'll believe you." She left the study, and Hyun Cheol-bi breathed a sigh of relief. Later that night, Yeon-hwa received a voicemail from Hyun Cheol-bi, apologizing for his behavior. "What kind of person is he?" she muttered angrily, feeling utterly betrayed. The next day at work, Hyun Cheol-bi remembered Hyun Cheol kept a notebook on his desk. He broke the lock and opened it, finding important information about Hyun Cheol's dealings and relationships. Hae-jin visited the bank, looking for Hyun Cheol-bi, and ran into the mistress. As the mistress walked away, Hae-jin called out to her, thanking her for the flowers and books she'd sent to their home. "Next time," she said pointedly, "send them to the person who deserves your well wishes." The mistress retorted that she was no longer interested in Hyun Cheol-bi. "If you're ever lucky enough to get married," Hae-jin told the mistress, "you'll receive flowers and cryptic messages from a woman you don't know, claiming your husband is hers. Then you'll understand how I feel." She then met with Dakpool, asking if Hyun Cheol-bi was available. Dakpool claimed he was too busy even to eat lunch. Not wanting to disturb him, Hae-jin joined Dakpool for lunch. During their meal, she learned about the complaint filed against Hyun Cheol-bi. "He's been acting very strange lately," Dakpool confided. "Even cooking for everyone at the bank. Hyun Cheol never cooked at home," Hae-jin said thoughtfully. "But now he's incredibly skilled with a knife." Dakpool almost voiced his suspicions, but hesitated, unsure of his conclusions. He asked Hae-jin to keep an eye on Hyun Cheol-bi. The mistress checked the bank balance, finding only 1.3 billion won. Scoffing, she made a call. "The amount transferred is a far cry from what you promised," she said. "I have dirt on Chairman Kim. If I go down, I'm taking him with me." That evening, Hyun Cheol-bi studied Hyun Cheol's notebook, absorbing his business strategies and networking techniques. Dakpool, meanwhile, was drinking alone, pondering Hyun Cheol-bi's strange behavior since his return. He called Hyun Cheol-bi, wanting to confirm his suspicions about his true identity. As Hyun Cheol-bi prepared to leave, Hae-jin asked if he was going back to work so late. "I'm meeting Dak-pool," he replied. "I know you're working hard to improve the bank's performance," she said. "My supermarket is looking for investors. Would you be interested?" He thanked her. She, in turn, thanked him for finally letting her help. Hyun Cheol-bi met Dak-pool, who, tears in his eyes, asked, "Are you really Hyun Cheol, my friend from high school?" "No," Hyun Cheol-bi replied. "I'm Hyun Cheol from class 812. Is my Hyun Cheol dead?" Dak-pool asked, his voice trembling. Hyun Cheol-bi admitted he was the restaurant chef, and that the bank branch manager was indeed dead. "I'm only borrowing his body," Hyun Cheol-bi confessed. Dak-pool broke down, sobbing. "I miss him so much." Back at the businessman's house, Hyun Cheol-bi woke up to find Hae-jin lying beside him. "You were so tired," she murmured, gently stroking his face. He took her hand, then reached out to caress her hair, drawing her closer. At the bank, Hyun Cheol-bi's friend arrived with bags of cash to deposit, asking Dak-pool to take him to Hyun Cheol-bi. Having studied Hyun Cheol's networking notes, Hyun Cheol-bi greeted his friend with an enthusiastic hug and warm welcome. Outside, Vice President Yuk quickly had the cash counted and deposited. Officer Park, having completed a sketch of the suspect who had vandalized Hyun Cheol-bi's car, showed it to Yeon-hwa. "It doesn't look like him," she said. "I'll refine it," Officer Park replied. Yeon-hwa suggested he investigate local mechanics. He then revealed that Hyun Cheol-bi and Hyun Cheol had no contact history, meaning they couldn't have been friends. The next day, Officer Park visited the bank and discovered Dak-pool was Hyun Cheol's close friend. He showed him the sketch. "You said you knew all of Hyun Cheol's friends," Officer Park said. "Do you recognize this man?" "I've never seen him before," Dak-pool replied. Just then, Yeon-hwa arrived. "That's the deceased chef's wife," Officer Park told Dak-pool, who was stunned. Officer Park informed Yeon-hwa that Hyun Cheol-bi was now implicated in her husband's case. "Did Hyun Cheol ever buy lottery tickets?" she asked Dak-pool. "Never," he replied. "That wasn't his style." He then asked if she and Hyun Cheol were having an affair. "Absolutely not," she said firmly, turning to leave. "Then why are you here?" Officer Park pressed. "He was disciplined because of me," she admitted. "I came to apologize." "Why?" he asked. She started to explain, then stopped abruptly and left. Hyun Cheol-bi's friend called, saying another friend wanted to deposit his savings. "Clear out your trunk," he instructed. "I'll bring the money over." Hyun Cheol-bi thanked him profusely. Meanwhile, Officer Park obtained Hyun Cheol-bi's loan repayment records. He noticed the loan repayment date was March 20 Honest, 2 days after Hyun Cheol-bi's death. How could a dead man repay a loan? He also obtained Hyun Cheol's bank records. Leaving the bank, Officer Park was attacked from behind by a masked assailant and dragged into an alley. He fought back but was stabbed. The attacker, seeing someone approach, fled. Back at the station, Officer Park discovered his wound had completely healed. He also received an anonymous text message revealing the attacker's hideout. He raced to the scene. He and his partner entered the building, only to find the attacker dead. Yeon-hwa tirelessly visited insurance agencies, politely apologizing even when turned away. She was determined to become a top insurance agent. Later, she took out her husband's phone and called it from her own. When the call connected, she poured out her grief and longing, telling him about Jisoo's birthday. Hyun Cheol-bi always took a photo with his daughter on her birthday. "I feel like you're still alive," she sobbed. Only those who have truly loved and lost can understand the depth of her pain. Hae-jin, organizing her daughter's desk, discovered her grades had plummeted. The next day, she went to the school, where the teacher told her they couldn't contact her. It turned out her daughter had deliberately provided a false contact number. Hyun Cheol-bi met with Sung-moo at the supermarket to discuss the investment opportunity. Sung-moo was surprised, having never met Hae-jin's husband before. After their meeting, Hyun Cheol-bi joined Hae-jin for lunch, noticing her sadness. "What's wrong?" he asked gently. "My daughter's grades were all fake," she confessed. Even her homework was copied. "Why?" he asked. She felt she had to be number one to earn her father's praise. Hae-jin explained. "I'll talk to her," he promised then, seeing her distress, gently touched her hand. "Eat something. Don't go hungry." Hae-jin felt a flicker of warmth and gratitude. That evening, Hyun Cheol-bi went to his daughter's room. "You don't have to be number one," he said gently. "A house needs a roof to be warm, and the top is a lonely place. Being happy, healthy, and playful is more important than grades." His daughter burst into tears, and he hugged her. "I just want you to be happy," he whispered. At bedtime, Hai-jin thanked him. "Thank you for not leaving us," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for staying and giving us a miracle." He gazed at her, his heart full. The next day, Yeon-hwa received a call from Officer Park. "Your husband's death is connected to bank manager Hyun Cheol," he revealed. At the same time, Hyun Cheol-bi, about to leave for work, suddenly remembered something. He called Hai-jin. "Do you still have my phone from the accident?" he asked urgently. "Yes, but it's badly damaged," she replied. "Bring it to me," he insisted. Moments later, Officer Park arrived and arrested him. Hai-jin, stepping out of the elevator, was shocked. As he'd written down, Hyun Cheol-bi had recalled a recorded conversation with Chairman Kim. Just before the accident, Hyun Cheol had refused Chairman Kim's loan request and recorded the call as evidence. That's why he needed the phone. Dak-pool drove a distraught Hai-jin to the police station. Officer Park showed Hyun Cheol-bi a photo. "Do you recognize this man, Hyun Cheol?" he asked. "He vandalized your car." Hyun Cheol-bi said he didn't know him. Officer Park then presented evidence. "Hyun Cheol was murdered last night," he revealed. "Your tie clip was found at the scene." "Care to explain? Why did Hyun Cheol vandalize my car and cause the accident?" Hyun Cheol-bi countered. Frustrated, Officer Park explained about the listening device, the pursuit, and the subsequent murder. Hyun Cheol-bi began to piece things together. Hyun Cheol hadn't taken out a loan, yet there was a loan agreement. Sensing something was amiss, he investigated and discovered the loan had been repaid 2 days after his death. How could a dead man repay a loan? He wondered. Even stranger, the loan officer listed was someone who'd been on leave for 6 months. He theorized that someone had impersonated the loan officer and fabricated the loan agreement. When Hyun Cheol-bi had applied for a loan at the bank, the culprit, fearing exposure, had sabotaged his car to buy time and repay the fraudulent loan. "Who would do this?" Officer Park asked. "I'm still investigating," Hyun Cheol-bi replied. "But whoever it is knew about the murder and planted my tie clip at the scene." Hyun Cheol was clutching a tie just before he died. Officer Park countered, skeptical. "I wasn't wearing a tie," Hyun Cheol-bi insisted. Dak-pool confirmed they'd been drinking together at the time of the murder. As Hai-jin and Dak-pool waited for Hyun Cheol-bi's release, Yeon-hwa burst into the police station. "Why is he a suspect?" she demanded of Dak-pool. She then turned to Officer Park, insisting on Hyun Cheol-bi's innocence. Her certainty surprised Hai-jin. She then noticed Yeon-hwa was wearing mismatched shoes in her haste, further fueling her suspicions. When Officer Park and Hyun Cheol-bi emerged, Yeon-hwa berated the officer. "How can you arrest an innocent man?" she cried. "Don't make a scene," he warned. Undeterred, she turned to Hyun Cheol-bi. "Why didn't you say anything?" she demanded. "You're just like my late husband, suffering in silence." Hai-jin finally snapped. "What's your relationship with my husband?" she demanded of Yeon-hwa. "Why are you so agitated?" "I deserve an explanation," Yeon-hwa stammered, trying to deflect the question. "If anyone should be angry, it's me," Hai-jin retorted. "Your behavior is inexplicable." She turned to Hyun Cheol-bi. "What's going on between you two?" Outside the police station, Dak-pool urged Hyun Cheol-bi to tell Hai-jin the truth. Hyun Cheol-bi expressed his reluctance. "Go home to your own family," Dak-pool urged. "What about Hai-jin?" Hyun Cheol-bi asked sadly. "Should I just let her believe her husband is dead? Should I tell Kang-ho and his sister their father is gone? What about your own family?" Dak-pool continued. "And your stubborn father-in-law." He pointed out Yeon-hwa's reaction at the police station. "She clearly recognized you. Why else would she be so upset?" "She knows," Hyun Cheol-bi admitted. "But I denied it." "Why?" Dak-pool asked, bewildered. "The loan situation isn't resolved," Hyun Cheol-bi explained. "I'll return when everything is clear." Hai-jin arrived at his office with his damaged phone. She pressed him about Yeon-hwa, but he insisted it wasn't the right time to explain. The mistress was on the phone, arguing with someone about the murder, when Hyun Cheol-bi entered. "Do you know Song-joon?" he asked. "I've heard of him," she replied. "He was on leave, yet he approved a loan for a man named Hyun Cheol." Hyun Cheol-bi explained. "Personnel files are confidential," she countered. "That's impossible." After Hyun Cheol died, he continued, "the loan was repaid. Song-joon panicked, sabotaged my car, and the mechanic who fixed it was killed. Then someone planted my tie clip at the murder scene. Have you recovered your memories?" she asked, alarmed. "Unfortunately, I don't remember anything about the tie clip," he replied, then turned the question on her. "Do you know anything about it?" She feigned ignorance. "Let's see who remembers first," he challenged, leaving her office. The mistress, now panicked, recalled Hyun Cheol leaving his tie clip at her apartment. Hyun Cheol B visited Jang Chun, a colleague who had started at the bank at the same time as Hyun Cheol. Jang Chun, a bitter rival demoted to HR after being outmaneuvered by Hyun Cheol, readily provided the list of employees on leave after learning why Hyun Cheol B needed it. He also warned Hyun Cheol B that he was on the bank's watch list for approving Chairman Lee's loan. Hyun Cheol B confronted Chairman Kim, who surprisingly turned the tables and accused him of being careless in approving the loan. "You approved Chairman Lee's loan yourself," Chairman Kim insisted. "You agreed to the $300 million collateralized loan at our last meeting." He added he'd try to smooth things over with the prosecutor, but the amount was substantial. "I told you we couldn't approve that loan," Hyun Cheol B countered. Chairman Kim, enraged, asked if he had any proof. Hyun Cheol B now knew Chairman Kim was his enemy. The mistress feigned a dizzy spell at work. Her colleagues helped her to a taxi. Dak Pool, cleaning her office, found the missing vault key on her chair. "How careless," he muttered. Inside the taxi, the mistress smirked. Hyun Cheol B took his damaged phone to a repair shop, hoping to retrieve the recording. But the hardware was too damaged. Dejected, he sat in the park, pondering the situation, when Kang Ho joined him. "Are you friends with Jisoo's dad?" his son asked, mentioning they'd celebrated her birthday together. Hyun Cheol B suddenly realized he'd forgotten his daughter's birthday and rushed off. He found Jisoo and apologized. "We're not related," she said, "so it's okay. But my dad gave me a miracle for my birthday. It was the gift death had given her. I miss him," she confessed. "I'm only 15. I should have at least 50 more years of missing him," she added. "I still feel like he's alive." Hyun Cheol B struggled to hide his tears. He went to church and confessed his predicament. "I have a family, but suddenly I have another one. I want to go back to my old life, but it's so difficult." "You've made the other man's life better," the priest acknowledged, "but you must return to where you belong. Your stubbornness will only hurt Hyun Cheol's family more. Restore things to the way they were." He then asked, "Are you confused because of Hyun Cheol's memories? Or have you fallen in love with his wife? Is it so wrong to feel this way?" Hyun Cheol B whispered. Death and Mao watched him leave the church, saddened by his struggle. Hai Jin, meanwhile, learned from her brother-in-law about Yeon Hwa's claim that her husband had died in Hyun Cheol's place. This revelation stunned Hai Jin. She waited for Hyun Cheol B that evening, determined to get answers. "What's your relationship with Yeon Hwa?" she asked, listing the recent events. "Don't lie to me." Hyun Cheol B hesitated, then handed her signed divorce papers. Seeing his signature, Hai Jin burst into tears. At that moment, Yeon Hwa received a text from Hyun Cheol B. "I'll be back in my rightful place soon." Startled, she called the number, but there was no answer. She then compared it to Hyun Cheol's number. It was the same. When her father returned home, Yeon Hwa told him everything, but he dismissed it as grief-induced delusion. She recounted Hyun Cheol's behavior since his return. Her father then recalled Hyun Cheol B claiming to be his son, trapped in another man's body. As Yeon Hwa listed her growing suspicions, her father began to waver. Hyun Cheol B received a call from his father-in-law and rushed to meet him. His father-in-law had ordered his favorite black bean noodles. Hyun Cheol B asked the server for wooden chopsticks for his father-in-law. "How did you know I only use wooden chopsticks?" he asked, surprised. "Do you like black bean noodles?" he then asked. "They're my favorite," Hyun Cheol B replied. "Just like my son," his father-in-law murmured. He then mixed the noodles for Hyun Cheol B, a familiar gesture that brought a lump to Hyun Cheol B's throat. "Let's just eat," his father-in-law said softly. Hai Jin stared at the divorce papers, heartbroken and confused. The next day, she called Yeon Hwa and arranged a meeting. Both women arrived impeccably dressed and made up. "We should have met sooner," Hai Jin began. "It seems we're a little late. Give me back Hyun Cheol," Yeon Hwa said bluntly. Hai Jin was taken aback by her directness. "That's not your husband," Yeon Hwa continued. "That's mine. Please, give him back." "That's absurd," Hai Jin retorted, indignant. "I don't care," Yeon Hwa cried. "I just want my husband back." Hai Jin still couldn't understand why Yeon Hwa was so certain that Hyun Cheol was her husband. When his father-in-law woke up, Hyun Cheol B scolded him for not following the doctor's orders and working at the construction site, worsening his condition. He also urged him to drink less. His father-in-law listened silently. Hyun Cheol B then confessed his true identity. "I'm your son, Hyun Cheol," he said. "I have some things to take care of, then I'll come back." "Don't come back," his father-in-law said firmly. "Live a new life. I'll take the blame." He lamented never even buying his son a bowl of black bean noodles and urged him to embrace his newfound wealth and comfort. Wear nice suits, live well. I won't regret it, even in death. Don't come back. Don't listen to anyone. I'll take responsibility for this family. You're not my son anymore. How can you say that? Hyun Cheol-bi cried. Hyun Cheol's parents raised a fine son. His father-in-law continued. Smart, successful, strong. Tears streamed down both their faces. Think of this new life as a gift from your deceased mother, he added. Why are you saying this? Hyun Cheol-bi asked, bewildered. What about Hyun Cheol's wife and children? His father-in-law asked. What about his parents who raised him? Unbeknownst to them, Yeon-hwa was listening at the door, tears streaming down her face. Unsure how to react to her husband's soul in another man's body, Hyun Cheol-bi turned to Yeon-hwa, acknowledging his true identity. Why did you lie before? She asked, her voice trembling. There are two sets of memories in this body, he explained. Sometimes I can't tell which are mine. I'm your husband, but I'm also another Hyun Cheol. No, she insisted. You're my husband, Ji-soo's father. Hyun Cheol created a fake loan account in my name at the bank, he explained. I have to fix it or I'll go to jail. You didn't do it, she argued. Why would you go to jail? No one will believe me, he said sadly. My blood type isn't A anymore, it's B. I'm not a chef. I'm a bank manager. He asked for time to resolve the situation and promised to return to her. What if you can't fix it? Yeon-hwa asked, worried. I have to, he insisted. I have to take care of you and Ji-soo, and Hae-jin and her children, too. Why are you thinking about them? Yeon-hwa cried, hurt and angry. I'm their husband and father now, too, he replied gently. Yeon-hwa was speechless. The next day, her father urged her to keep the truth from Ji-soo. You can't do that, she protested. He's your son, but he's also my husband and Ji-soo's father. We'll tell her later. That afternoon, she confronted Dak-pool. Did you know about this? She demanded. I suspected, he admitted. No one is on my side, she cried. My husband is alive, but I'm living like a widow. Why? It was hard for me, too, at first, Dak-pool admitted. But seeing him talk and laugh with me, I see my friend Hyun Cheol in him. Your Hyun Cheol is dead, she insisted. That man is my husband. Wake up. It's not that simple, Dak-pool argued. He's your Hyun Cheol, but he's also Hae-jin's husband. Your husband is gone, but a Hyun Cheol is still alive. Why does everyone say that? She cried, her voice breaking. Even my father-in-law wants him to stay with Hae-jin. Hae-jin claimed he was her husband and threatened me. Now you're saying it too. I came to you for help, she pleaded. Wait, Dak-pool urged. I'm afraid he'll never come back, she sobbed. Hae-jin is so beautiful. Yeon-hwa walked home in tears, death silently following. A somber companion. Hyun Cheol-bi was working at Hae-jin's supermarket when she arrived to take him to dinner. They went to a romantic Western restaurant and ordered steak. Hyun Cheol-bi asked for ketchup and carefully spread it on Hae-jin's steak. She watched him, touched by his thoughtfulness. Eat, he urged. You like ketchup, right? I don't like tomatoes, she said. But I love ketchup. Because you're a child, he teased, echoing a phrase from their courtship. Hae-jin stared at him, tears in her eyes. He was back. You're my husband, she whispered. Hyun Cheol-bi looked at Hae-jin. You remember, he said softly. Eat while it's hot. Hae-jin stared at him, tears in her eyes. She couldn't bear to lose him again. After dinner, they strolled along the street. Seeing a couple riding a tandem bicycle, Hae-jin remembered learning to ride with Hyun Cheol. She'd fallen, and he'd been so worried. Sensing her nostalgia, Hyun Cheol-bi asked if she wanted to ride. She smiled, her eyes shining with unspoken affection. They rented a bicycle and rode together, laughing and carefree. On the way back, Hyun Cheol-bi accidentally brushed her hand and quickly pulled away. What's wrong? Hae-jin asked gently. We've been avoiding the truth, haven't we? That's why we're in this mess. Can't we change that? Why didn't you talk to me like this before? He asked. Maybe he was waiting for you to reach out too. Who? She asked softly. The me before the accident, he replied. Hae-jin trembled. Why do you say it like that? She whispered. He didn't answer, walking ahead, then paused and turned back, smiling at her. Hae-jin's heart ached with a mix of love, confusion, and fear. Later, as Hyun Cheol-bi showered, Hae-jin put away his jacket. Death appeared downstairs and used his powers to make Yeon HWA's call appear on Hyun Cheol-bi's phone. Hae-jin saw the caller ID. Wife. She checked her own phone, confused. When the call ended, she hesitantly called the number back. Yeon-hwa answered. Hae-jin hung up, terrified. She then called Hyun Cheol-bi's phone on her own. The caller ID displayed her name as Auntie. Her world crumbled. Hearing Hyun Cheol-bi approaching, she quickly put the phone away. Yeon-hwa, puzzled by the silent call, tried calling back. Hyun Cheol-bi saw his phone ringing, but hesitated to answer, while Hae-jin watched him intently. Yeon-hwa, getting no answer, sent a text. That night, Hae-jin lay awake, replaying everything that had happened since her husband's return. Fear gnawed at her, but she was afraid to ask. She got out of bed and sat on the sofa, shivering, her mind in turmoil. Hyun Cheol-bi also lay awake, troubled by Yeon-hwa's text. "You're not their pillar. You're ours. Please come back." He longed to return to her, but he needed to clear his name first. Determined to avoid prison, he meticulously reviewed the list of employees on leave, eliminating those who couldn't be involved. He finally found a crucial clue. Just then a woman arrived at the bank, frantic because she couldn't reach the mistress. She needed access to her safe deposit box, and the mistress had the key. The mistress, however, had resigned, and no one knew where the key was. Dak-pool, overhearing the conversation, remembered seeing a key on the mistress's chair. Hyun Cheol-bi retrieved the key and opened the box. "Everything's here." The woman sighed, relieved. Then she noticed a USB drive. "That's not mine," she said. Hyun Cheol-bi took the drive and plugged it into a computer. It contained a list of client names. Comparing it to his own investigation, he realized the fraudulent loan had been approved by Jang Chun, the former department head. His colleagues, hearing about his father-in-law's hospitalization, were puzzled. They knew Hyun Cheol's father had passed away, and they'd even attended the funeral. Just then, Officer Park arrived, collecting the USB drive and Hyun Cheol-bi's findings. He now knew the mistress was behind the fraudulent loan and had also created fake loans for small businesses. "Where did you get this USB drive?" he asked. "From a client's safe deposit box," Hyun Cheol-bi replied. "The mistress managed it. We're running out of time. She's resigned," he added. "She's also the one who planted the tie clip." "Proof?" Officer Park asked. "She was having an affair with me," Hyun Cheol-bi confessed. Officer Park understood immediately. "Stop her from leaving the country," Hyun Cheol-bi urged. Chairman Kim met with a bank employee, whose wife had been on dialysis for 4 years. With 2 young children, the employee was struggling financially. Under Hyun Cheol's previous management, their salaries had been higher. With the bank's declining performance, the employee felt desperate enough to appeal directly to the chairman. He hoped his report would lead to improvements. Chairman Kim handed him a box containing 2 large gold bars. The employee initially refused, but the chairman, preying on his desperation over his wife's illness, persuaded him to accept. The employee knew this was a bribe, and he was now obligated to return the favor. The mistress received a call from Chairman Kim but ignored it. Jang Chun informed the chairman of her resignation. He then mentioned Hyun Cheol-bi's recent request for the list of employees on leave, suggesting someone might have used it to create fraudulent loans. This could damage the bank's reputation, he warned. "Does he have any proof?" Chairman Kim asked. "Has he investigated the loan records?" He ordered Jang Chun to look into it immediately. The mistress, meanwhile, was about to board a ship to leave the country. Officer Park arrived at the pier just as she passed through security. He flashed his badge and boarded the ship. The mistress, seeing a call from Chairman Kim, tossed her phone into the sea. She was beautiful but ruthless. Just as she thought she was safe, Officer Park found her. She was brought in for questioning. Remarkably calm in the face of the evidence presented, she maintained her composure even when confronted with details of the murder, claiming she'd seen it on the news. Officer Park smiled. "We haven't released that information to the media," he said. The next morning, Hyun Cheol-bi saw his stepchildren drinking only juice for breakfast. He stopped them, insisting on cooking a proper meal. As they ate, his stepdaughter complimented the food. "You should always eat breakfast," he said. "What is breakfast?" he asked, testing her. "A gift from God," she replied. Meanwhile, at Yeon-hwa's house, Ji-soo was eating breakfast. "I wish Dad could cook for me," she sighed. Yeon-hwa looked down, her heart aching. "Why don't you get rid of Dad's phone?" Ji-soo asked. Yeon-hwa was surprised. "How did you know?" she asked. "Sometimes, when I text him," Ji-soo explained, "I see the read receipts." Yeon-hwa paused, then asked Ji-soo, "What if your father were still alive?" "What do you mean?" Ji-soo asked, confused. Yeon-hwa didn't answer. After the children left for school, Hae-jin tasted Hyun Cheol-bi's fried rice. "Delicious," she exclaimed. "How did you make it?" He told her the recipe. "Are you going to the supermarket today?" she asked. "Yes," he replied. "I can't let the staff handle the promotion alone. I laid out your clothes," she said, then quickly left. Hyun Cheol-bi sensed something was amiss. As Hae-jin got into her car, it wouldn't start. Then the seatbelt jammed. and the wipers started moving uncontrollably. She realized her attempts to appear normal were failing. She remembered seeing the t-shirt with Hyun Cheol-B's photo, with Yeon-hwa's family. Overwhelmed, she sat in the car and wept silently. Hyun Cheol-B received a call from Officer Park and rushed to the police station. Another car cut him off, forcing him to swerve and brake hard. He flashed back to the accident with Hyun Cheol. Hyun Cheol's memories were resurfacing. Stronger now, his personality influencing Hyun Cheol-B's thoughts and actions. He began to worry about how much of Hyun Cheol he was becoming. He confronted the mistress. "Did I create the fake loan?" he asked. "Yes," she replied. "And I repaid it." "Yes, but the repayment date was the day of my funeral," he countered. "I was declared dead." Neither Hyun Cheol could have repaid it. The mistress visibly paled. "The deceased Hyun Cheol didn't receive the loan," he continued, "and I didn't approve it. You panicked and bribed Hyun Cheol to sabotage my car, which is why the brakes failed, even though they were recently repaired." He leaned closer. "You had help," he added softly. "You couldn't have done this alone." The mistress remained silent. "You left that tie clip at my apartment," he continued, his voice low and menacing. "Then you planted it at the murder scene to frame me." The mistress broke down, sobbing and pounding the table. Officer Park rushed in. "I want a lawyer," she cried. Hyun Cheol-B smirked. She called Chairman Kim, pleading for help. "He knows I didn't approve Chairman Lee's loan," she sobbed. "What do you want?" he snapped. "If I go down," she threatened, "you're coming with me." Chairman Kim slammed his fist on the desk, his face a mask of fury and fear. Meanwhile, the bank employee who had complained to Chairman Kim received a text message. Disciplinary committee meeting scheduled immediately. The next day, Jang Chun visited Chairman Kim. Hyun Cheol's loan limit is 50 billion won, he pointed out. How could he approve a 300 billion won loan? "What are you suggesting?" Chairman Kim asked. "The Financial Supervisory Service will be curious," Jang Chun replied. "Don't worry about them," Chairman Kim said dismissively. "Hyun Cheol isn't an easy opponent," Jang Chun warned. "How are the preparations for the disciplinary hearing coming along?" "I'd like to be on that committee," Jang Chun suggested. Chairman Kim smiled, a predatory gleam in his eyes. Hyun Cheol-B's colleagues couldn't believe he'd approved such a large loan. Vice President Yuk, however, recalled seeing the mistress rushing into Hyun Cheol-B's office and suspected collusion with Chairman Kim in falsifying the loan approval process. Hyun Cheol-B's father-in-law urged Yeon-hwa to move on. "He's gone," he said sadly. "We both know he's not," she insisted. "He's Jisoo's father. Everyone in the world can tell me he's not my husband, but you can't. No one will believe us," he pleaded. "This will only hurt him. Even you admit he's your son," Yeon-hwa countered. Her father-in-law fell silent, defeated. Later, Yeon-hwa and her friend went to the supermarket, while Hae-jin and her colleagues went to visit Hyun Cheol-B. The two groups ran into each other. Hyun Cheol-B, caught in the middle, looked uncomfortable. Yeon-hwa and Hae-jin exchanged tense glances. They all ended up having lunch together. The atmosphere strained and awkward, filled with forced smiles and stilted conversation. Finally, Sung-moo broke the tension, engaging Hyun Cheol-B in a conversation about business. This, however, devolved into a heated argument between Yeon-hwa and Hae-jin, leaving Hyun Cheol-B no choice but to excuse himself. On his way back to the bank, he received a text from Hae-jin inviting him to dinner, followed by a similar text from Yeon-hwa. He sighed, feeling trapped between two worlds. At school, Jisoo, recalling Hyun Cheol-B's kindness and their text exchanges, grew suspicious. She approached Kang Ho. "Has Dad been acting strange since he woke up?" she asked. "He used to be so strict," Kang Ho replied. "Now he's super nice. He tells me to eat regularly and says health is the most important. He made me amazing sweet and sour pork. And he says breakfast is a gift from God." Jisoo's eyes widened. Her father had always said that. She began to understand. As Hyun Cheol-B left work, he was surprised to see Jisoo waiting for him. She rushed towards him, throwing her arms around him. "Dad," she cried. Meanwhile, both Yeon-hwa and Hae-jin were busy preparing dinner. When Jisoo arrived home, she asked her mother, "Is it a special occasion?" Yeon-hwa, ignoring the question, asked, "Are you hungry?" "No, I ate with Dad," Jisoo replied. Yeon-hwa looked down, her heart heavy. "Why didn't you tell me?" Jisoo asked, then hugged her mother, sensing her sadness. Yeon-hwa blinked back tears. Hyun Cheol-B, still torn, finally made a decision and drove towards Hae-jin's house. Just then, doorbells rang at both houses. At Yeon-hwa's, it was a delivery driver. Hyun Cheol-B chose Hae-jin. Yan Hua sadly put the food away. Hai Jin poured them wine and reminisced about their honeymoon. Hyun Cheol-bi, however, didn't remember any of it, to her disappointment. She continued, talking about the evolution of their love. "I thought we had more time to heal," he said quietly. "I never thought I'd die so soon." Hai Jin finally understood. "You're not my husband," she whispered, her heart breaking. She clung to a sliver of hope, praying for a miracle. "I share his memories," Hyun Cheol-bi explained. "But that's all. This is his body. I need to go back to my own family." Hai Jin was stunned into silence. "Live well," he whispered, then stood up to leave. Tears streamed down Hai Jin's face. As he opened the door, she rushed to him, begging him not to go. He held her tight, his own tears falling, but his resolve remained firm. He had to return to Yan Hua. At dinner, Yan Hua served him food, a familiar ritual, but Hyun Cheol-bi seemed distant. Even her father and Jisoo noticed the change. After dinner, he spoke with his father-in-law. As he was about to leave, his father-in-law told him to follow his heart. He spoke with Yan Hua, saying he needed to resolve some unfinished business. "Divorce Hai Jin," she urged. "We can go back to how things were." She offered to retrieve his belongings from Hai Jin's house. "Don't go there," he pleaded. "You'll say something hurtful. She's already suffering." "Am I not suffering?" Yan Hua cried. "Is only your body back? Is your heart still with her?" She poured out her pain and frustration, telling him how distant he felt. She then spoke with Jisoo. "He's not the same anymore," she confessed. "Don't doubt him," Jisoo urged. "We'll lose him again." They hugged tightly. Kang Ho went looking for his father, but he wasn't in his study. He found his mother sitting on the sofa, lost in thought. That night, Hyun Cheol-bi and Yan Hua lay in bed, the distance between them palpable. She shifted closer, hoping for a response, but he remained unresponsive. She turned away, her heart heavy. The next morning, she woke up to find him gone. She searched the house frantically, then reached for her phone to call him, but stopped herself. Hai Jin received a call from Yan Hua, who wanted to collect Hyun Cheol-bi's belongings. "Those are my husband's clothes," Hai Jin corrected her. "I don't want him coming back here." Yan Hua snapped. "He's my husband, not yours," Hai Jin retorted. Hanging up before Yan Hua could respond, Hai Jin ripped up the divorce papers, instantly regretting ever mentioning divorce. Dakpool called, informing her of trouble at the bank. Yan Hua also received a call from Dakpool. Hai Jin arranged a meeting with Yan Hua. "How do you want to resolve this?" Yan Hua asked. Hai Jin explained Hyun Cheol-bi's predicament at the bank, saying any hint of scandal would make things worse. "If you love him," she pleaded, "let him go." "What do you mean?" Yan Hua asked, confused. "If he chooses you," Hai Jin explained, "he'll be ridiculed and ostracized for the rest of his life." She continued, "There's no happy ending here. One of us has to get hurt. This cruel twist of fate isn't something anyone else can fix. It's between us. Why should I be the one to get hurt?" Yan Hua cried. "Because you want him to be happy," Hai Jin said softly. "No one in this world will believe he's your husband. Only you." She left the cafe and got into her car, still clinging to the hope that she could somehow keep him. Yan Hua sat alone, tears streaming down her face. Hyun Cheol-bi was facing disciplinary action for allegedly accepting bribes in exchange for loan approvals. Jang Chun visited him. "Why did you approve 5-Star Group's loan?" he asked. "It's not like you." "I didn't approve it," Hyun Cheol-bi replied. "Only the branch manager's computer can authorize loans." Jang Chun countered, explaining how the mistress, with Chairman Kim's help, had set him up. "I'll find out the truth," Hyun Cheol-bi insisted. "You're out of options," Jang Chun said, offering his help. As he left, Hyun Cheol-bi asked, "Why are you helping me?" "I owe you a favor," Jang Chun replied cryptically. Hyun Cheol-bi had no recollection of this. Later, Vice President Yuk met Jang Chun on the rooftop. He wanted to testify on Hyun Cheol-bi's behalf at the disciplinary hearing. "You won't become branch manager if you do that," Jang Chun warned. Vice President Yuk hesitated. "How will you explain being in the branch manager's office so late that night?" Jang Chun added. Vice President Yuk fell silent, realizing the implications. Hyun Cheol-bi called Vice President Yuk to his office. "Someone used my computer to approve 5-Star Group's loans while I was in the hospital," he said. Vice President Yuk claimed he didn't know the password. The day of the disciplinary hearing arrived. The committee, composed entirely of Chairman Kim's allies, bombarded Hyun Cheol-bi with accusations. He vehemently denied everything, insisting the loan approvals were forged. "Do you have any proof?" they demanded. He didn't. Just then, the bank employee bribed with the gold bars entered and testified against Hyun Cheol-bi. claiming he'd seen him approve the loans. Sensing he was trapped, Hyun Cheol-bi requested his own witness. Who? The committee members asked, skeptical. Chairman Kim, Hyun Cheol-bi replied. They scoffed, but he insisted he had the right to call him. After the hearing, the bribed employee visited his wife in the hospital. Hyun Cheol-bi arrived soon after, understanding the employee's desperate situation. He didn't blame him, instead offering comfort and support. Back at the bank, working late, he received a call from Yeon-hwa, asking when he'd be home. I can't come back tonight, he replied. He then opened his contacts and changed Hae-jin's name from Auntie to Hae-jin. At home, Hae-jin, packing her belongings, saw Hyun Cheol-bi sitting on the sofa, smiling at her. She thought it was real, but it was just a hallucination. In a dark forest, a mysterious figure burned some clothes, accidentally singeing their hand. The mistress spoke with her mysterious contact, urging him to get rid of Hyun Cheol-bi before they were both caught. Don't worry, the contact reassured her. He's about to be fired. The figure from the forest appeared in the bank parking lot. Removing their mask, they were revealed to be Jang Chun. Hyun Cheol-bi worked through the night, finally uncovering a vital piece of evidence. He called Officer Park. I have a new lead, he said. Officer Park mentioned finding the mistress's accomplice, but the CCTV footage hadn't captured their face. Hyun Cheol-bi remembered the recording of his conversation with Chairman Kim, but the damaged phone was beyond repair, leaving him frustrated. Just then, Vice President Yuk arrived, determined to share what he knew. A second disciplinary hearing was convened. Hyun Cheol-bi sat calmly as Chairman Kim arrived and attempted to join the committee. You're here as a witness, not a committee member, Hyun Cheol-bi corrected him. The chairman's allies protested, but he reluctantly took his assigned seat. Explain why you called Chairman Kim as a witness, Jang Chun demanded. Did you ask me to approve Five-Star Group's loan? Hyun Cheol-bi asked Chairman Kim directly. Absolutely not, Chairman Kim replied, suggesting Hyun Cheol-bi's memory was faulty. My memory is poor, Hyun Cheol-bi admitted, which is why I record important conversations. He then played the recording of his conversation with Chairman Kim, clearly capturing Hyun Cheol's refusal to approve the loan. The prosecutor will be contacting you tomorrow, he told Chairman Kim. I suggest you wear something nice. He then implicated several committee members as Chairman Kim's accomplices. He stood up and left, leaving Jang Chun visibly shaken. How had he retrieved the recording from a destroyed phone? Earlier, as he despaired of proving his innocence, a beam of light had shone through the window onto the phone, miraculously powering it on. It was death's doing. The next day, a notice circulated within the branch. An anonymous employee had confessed to accepting bribes and framing Hyun Cheol-bi. He was exonerated. His colleagues rejoiced. He arrived and announced an after-hours meeting. He thanked them for their support during the ordeal. Who was the employee who confessed? Someone asked. He's not from our branch, Hyun Cheol-bi replied, adding that Chairman Kim was under investigation, and the bank's image might suffer temporarily. Take your work seriously, he told his staff. Next month's meeting requires a report. If performance drops, start packing. You'll be transferred to the most remote branch. Hyun Cheol was back, and the atmosphere in the branch instantly shifted. That evening, he returned to Yeon-hwa's house, much to her delight. But the reunion was awkward. They lay in bed, backs turned to each other. Meanwhile, Hae-jin was running a high fever. Her daughter found her and panicked. Outside, a thunderstorm raged. Hyun Cheol-bi's phone rang. He answered it outside, while Yeon-hwa stirred awake. His stepdaughter informed him of Hae-jin's illness. He quickly changed clothes and prepared to leave. Where are you going? Yeon-hwa demanded, sensing his destination. Don't go. I have to, he replied, gently pushing past her into the pouring rain. He returned to Hae-jin's house and woke her gently. She couldn't believe he was really there. He smiled reassuringly. She reached out, touching his face. It's really you, she whispered, pulling him into a tight embrace. They both wept. Yeon-hwa stood outside her house in the rain, waiting for him. Death appeared and held an umbrella over her, but she felt no comfort. She only wanted her husband back. Hyun Cheol-bi tenderly cared for Hae-jin, urging her to take her medicine and rest. Is there anything I haven't done for you? He asked softly. He promised to make her breakfast and then stood up to leave. Are you a chef? She asked suddenly. He nodded. She knew so little about him. I don't care who you are or what you've done, she whispered. This Hyun Cheol is all that matters to me. He gently stroked her forehead. Close your eyes and get some sleep, he whispered. The rain stopped. Ji-soo found her mother sitting on the steps. What are you doing here? She asked. Waiting for your father, Yeon-hwa replied. Ji-soo tried to coax her inside, but she refused to move. You don't have to wait, Jisoo said softly. He'll come back. You're the only one in his heart. Yeonhwa scoffed. He's not the father you used to know anymore. Death watched them, guilt gnawing at him. His mistake had led to this predicament. Hyun Cheol-B's soul trapped in Hyun Cheol's body. Torn between two women, Hae-jin woke up to find Hyun Cheol-B gone. She searched the living room, then his study. He'd left. She saw a bowl of porridge and a note. Eat this and take your medicine. I'm sorry it's not a proper breakfast. Tears welled up as she ate. Hyun Cheol-B returned to Yeonhwa's house, explaining he'd gone to check on a sick Hae-jin. As they lay in bed, Yeonhwa asked if anything was bothering him, but he didn't answer. The next morning, she noticed he'd neatly folded his pajamas, a habit her husband never had. Looking at their wedding photo, she whispered, "You wouldn't do this, would you?" She was starting to realize this wasn't the same man. Hae-jin received a call from Hyun Cheol-B. She answered softly. He inquired about her health, his voice full of concern. She struggled to address him, unsure whether to call him Kang-ho's father. "I'm glad to hear your voice," she confessed. "Me too," he replied. "I'm going to take care of something important. Hearing your voice gives me strength. Are you talking about Hyun Cheol's unfinished business?" she asked. "It's my business now, too," he replied. "Thank you for taking care of what he couldn't," she said, her voice breaking. "And I'm sorry you have to deal with this." "I'm sorry, too," he replied. "Thank you for being Hyun Cheol's wife. I'm sorry I'm not your husband." Hae-jin hung up without a word, then changed his name in her contacts to Hyun Cheol. Kang-ho waited for Jisoo at school. During lunch, he mentioned overhearing her call her deceased father. "He's not dead," Jisoo insisted. "Your father is gone," she continued. "The man living with you now isn't your father. He's mine." "Are you crazy?" Kang-ho asked, bewildered. "Breakfast is a gift from God," Jisoo explained. "That's what my dad always said. He was a chef at a Chinese restaurant. If I didn't want to eat in the mornings, he'd make me fried rice." She added, "You watch those supernatural shows. You've seen miracles. Haven't you noticed anything strange about Dad? He's back in my house now." Hyun Cheol-B met Kang-ho for lunch. "I'm sorry," he began. "What for?" Kang-ho asked, surprised. "For not being a good father," Hyun Cheol-B explained. "For always criticizing your grades. You don't have to apologize," Kang-ho said. Hyun Cheol-B started to explain about the miracle, but Kang-ho interrupted him. "I don't believe in that stuff anymore. It's all fake. Just be my dad." He confessed how devastated he'd been by his father's death, running to the hospital, hoping it was all a dream, falling and hurting his leg, using the injury as an excuse to cry when really, his heart was breaking. Hyun Cheol-B listened, his own heart aching. "I'll do better," Kang-ho promised. "I'll listen to you." Hyun Cheol-B smiled. "Want to do something with me?" he asked. Kang-ho thought for a moment. "Want to go to the bathhouse with me?" Hyun Cheol-B offered. Kang-ho's face lit up. They made a pinky promise. He no longer cared whose soul occupied his father's body. This man was his dad. Before leaving, Hyun Cheol-B packed some food for Kang-ho to take to Hae-jin. Back home, Kang-ho presented the food to a surprised Hae-jin. "What's gotten into you?" she asked, smiling. "Dad bought this for you," he replied, his voice full of affection. "You called him Dad?" Hae-jin asked, surprised. Kang-ho had always addressed his father formally. "I just wanted to," he mumbled, blushing. A flicker of hope ignited in Hae-jin's heart. The hope for a warm, loving family. The next day, Hyun Cheol-B's colleagues greeted him expectantly, but he walked past them, his usual aloof self. They assumed the strict Hyun Cheol had returned. Then he stopped and returned their greetings. A small but significant change. Vice President Yuk entered his office. "I'm testifying at the prosecutor's office this afternoon," he announced, handing Hyun Cheol-B his resignation letter. "I used to resent you," he confessed. "Your youth and talent made me feel insecure about my own position. Jang Chun exploited that resentment, manipulating me into spying on you and accessing your computer." He apologized sincerely. "Give me another chance," Hyun Cheol-B pleaded, returning the resignation letter. "You were only covering for me that night. When our branch reaches #1, we'll celebrate together." Vice President Yuk was deeply touched. "I don't know when it happened," he admitted, "but I stopped resenting you, especially after the accident. You changed." Hyun Cheol-B pondered his words. Yeonhwa was waiting for the bus when Death whispered, "Hang in there." To his surprise, she heard him. "Can you hear me?" he asked, making her jump. He was equally startled. Later, as she shopped for clothes for her uncle, Death commented on her choices. She looked around, but no one was there. She moved to another rack. he commented again. She hurried away, bumping straight into him. "Who are you?" she asked, startled. "Let's talk," he said, leading her to a nearby cafe. He confessed his mistake and how it led to the soul swap. Officer Park was reading a news article about Chairman Kim when Hyun Cheol-B startled him. They discussed Kyung Cheol's murder. Hyun Cheol-B handed him a list of fake accounts he'd found at the mistress's apartment. "Someone with access to the bank's systems must be behind this," he said, suggesting an inside job. He would investigate internally, while Officer Park focused on Kyung Cheol's murder. Even Officer Park noticed a marked change in Hyun Cheol-B's demeanor. The next day, the mistress met with her mysterious contact, revealed to be Jang Chun. She berated him for botching the plan and allowing Hyun Cheol-B to turn the tables. "You were too greedy, playing both sides," he retorted. He revealed Chairman Kim's involvement in the five-star group loan and how Vice President Yuk had witnessed her actions that night and reported them. The mistress, realizing she was trapped, decided to blame Chairman Kim, claiming she'd only been following his orders. "Didn't you kill someone?" she challenged Jang Chun. Unfazed, he pointed out the lack of evidence connecting him to the murder. "You gave me the tie clip," he reminded her. "And those illegal loans? All yours. There's no proof I was involved. Why frame him?" she demanded. "Why kill Kyung Cheol over something so trivial?" He didn't answer, fueling her suspicions that there was more to the story. Returning to her apartment, she found Hyun Cheol-B waiting. "Confess," he urged. "Don't let others use you." He asked why she'd used the tie clip to frame him. "I didn't know Hyun Cheol's car was tampered with, too," she confessed. "I only meant to sabotage yours." Hyun Cheol-B was stunned. He flashed back to the accident, remembering how the brakes and steering had failed. Both cars had been sabotaged, which explained the simultaneous accidents. He then remembered another memory, Jang Chun begging for his forgiveness. He now suspected Jang Chun's involvement. That evening, Yeon Hwa invited him for a beer. They sat outside, talking. She mentioned how much he loved stargazing and shared a story from high school. But he didn't react. "You don't like beer," she said softly. "You prefer rice wine, and you never call me Jisoo's mom." She admitted she felt uncomfortable with him living there and asked him to leave, to return to where he belonged. "I just want you to be happy," she said. "You're not happy here." "I'm trying," he pleaded, "but it's not working." "I understand," she said gently. "Go. The man I love," she continued, her voice breaking, "wouldn't call me Yeon Hwa. He'd tell me I'm the most beautiful woman in the world. He'd make me laugh when I'm angry. You don't do that anymore." Tears welled up in Hyun Cheol-B's eyes. "I'm letting you go," she whispered. After leaving Yeon Hwa's, Hyun Cheol-B went to Dak Pool's. Understanding the situation, Dak Pool advised him to return to Haijin. "Everyone sees you as the bank manager now," he said. "Even I feel like you're my old friend Hyun Cheol again. That's why Yeon Hwa let you go. You're a stranger to her now." The next day, troubled by the situation, Dak Pool called Haijin. He told her about Hyun Cheol-B staying with him and the conversation with Yeon Hwa. When Dak Pool returned home, Hyun Cheol-B confided in him. "Someone tried to kill me in that car accident," he revealed. "Do you have Hyun Cheol's memories?" Dak Pool asked, his voice barely a whisper. "All of them," Hyun Cheol-B replied, sending chills down Dak Pool's spine. Whoever it was had a reason to kill Hyun Cheol. Hyun Cheol-B continued. Dak Pool then told him Haijin knew he was staying there. Hyun Cheol-B met with Vice President Yuk. His investigation pointed to Jang Chun as the mastermind. He called Officer Park, requesting a travel ban on Jang Chun and asking him to re-examine Hyun Cheol's accident. Jang Chun was immediately notified of the investigation and, realizing Hyun Cheol-B was behind it, seething with rage. Haijin met with Yeon Hwa. This time, there was no animosity. "I bought him some suits," Yeon Hwa confessed. "I never bought him anything this nice when he was alive. I always felt guilty about that." "Why did you let him go?" Haijin asked softly. "We were so happy even when we were poor," Yeon Hwa replied. "Just being together was enough. But with him now, I felt more alone. He's not the man I remember, and he doesn't love me anymore." Haijin looked down, her heart aching for them both. "At least he's alive," Yeon Hwa continued. "That's enough for Jisoo. She needs her father." "What was he like?" Haijin asked. Yeon Hwa smiled sadly. "He was a chef at a Chinese restaurant. Honest, kind, a bit of a goofball. He always got scolded by the landlady." "Can I see a picture of him?" Haijin asked. Yeon Hwa showed her a photo of her family on her phone. Haijin gazed at the image, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and curiosity. "He seems so different," Yeon Hwa said sadly. "I know," Haijin agreed. her voice barely a whisper. They sat in silence. Later, Hai-jin visited their wedding photo location, wondering if things would have been different had she forgiven Hyun-cheol sooner. That evening, she met with her uncle. "I want a divorce," she said, watching his face fall. Then, she continued, "Let's start over." She'd grieved, she explained, and was ready to let that version of Hyun-cheol go. She wanted to put aside everything she knew about him and start anew with the man before her. He didn't answer directly, but instead invited her for a walk. He stood and offered his hand. They walked hand in hand, a comfortable silence between them. They talked about happy memories, and he shared some of his own. "Is that the chef's memory?" Hai-jin asked, sensing the shift. He admitted it was. She struggled to process this. "Give me some time," he pleaded. "Which Hyun-cheol loves me?" she asked quietly. "The banker or the chef?" He didn't answer directly. "Who do you want it to be?" He countered, giving her the choice. "Either way," he added softly. "He'll love you." Kang-ho met with Jisoo. "I've quit the website," he confessed. "I don't believe in miracles anymore. I need to study hard and get into a good college like my dad wanted." "You don't believe me?" Jisoo asked. "Hurt. I knew before you did," he confessed. "What am I supposed to do? Dead people have graves. My dad doesn't." "Let's share him," she suggested, then added. "But my dad only has one wife. My mom." The next day, Hyun-cheol took Kang-ho and Jisoo ice skating. His stepdaughter wanted to come too. As Kang-ho and Jisoo skated together, Hai-jin arrived with her daughter. Jisoo forced a smile, but she was uncomfortable. Her half-sister fell, and Hyun-cheol rushed to her side. Jisoo watched them, then glanced at Hai-jin, a pang of loneliness hitting her. On the way home, she asked her mother, "Who's Jisoo?" Hai-jin didn't know how to answer. Jisoo, devastated, demanded to be let out of the car. Hyun-cheol offered to take her home, but she refused to budge. Finally, he relented and let her out. She ran home and cried herself to sleep. Yeon-hwa, learning of the incident, called Hyun-cheol and demanded a meeting. As he left, Hai-jin asked how he planned to explain things to his stepdaughter. She gave him the suits Yeon-hwa had bought. "I hope we can all handle this with grace," she said quietly. At the cafe, Yeon-hwa confronted him. "Why did you hurt Jisoo?" she demanded. He tried to explain, but she cut him off. "Do you even realize what you're doing?" she cried. "You're having a legally sanctioned affair." He remained silent. "Stop hurting her," she pleaded. "Be a good father." As she left the cafe, she encountered Death, who gave her a thumbs up. "Are you stalking me?" she asked, annoyed. "Do you need my help?" he asked. Still skeptical of his claims, she challenged him. "Give me 1,000,000 won." He snapped his fingers, and the money appeared in her hand. "How did you do that?" she asked, stunned. That evening, Jisoo sat in the garden, heartbroken. "Don't be too sad." Yeon-hwa comforted her. "Even though he's living someone else's life, he's still alive. Why do I have to share him?" Jisoo cried. "You didn't even ask me. You just let him leave. You made me fatherless. He's still your father," Yeon-hwa said, taking her hand. Jisoo pulled away. "This is worse than not having him at all," she sobbed. The next day, Death appeared beside Yeon-hwa after work. "Come with me," she said. She'd used the money he'd conjured to buy him a new phone. "Call me if you need anything," she instructed. "I don't need a phone," he replied. "Just think of me, and I'll appear. Don't be ridiculous," she scoffed. "Then call me when you want to see me," he said, smiling, then vanished, leaving her stunned. Yeon-hwa was trying to close a deal with a client, but the client was having second thoughts. Just then, Death appeared. "What are you doing here?" Yeon-hwa asked. The client asked who he was. "My younger brother," Yeon-hwa replied. The client, however, was instantly smitten with Death, who charmed her completely, dismantling her resistance to the policy. She was going to think it over until next month. Yeon-hwa remarked after signing the contract. "You're a lifesaver. Are you okay?" Death asked, concerned. "I can handle it," she replied, thanking him and leaving. He hoped his actions could somehow atone for his mistake. Hai-jin submitted her resignation to Sung-moo, thanking him for the opportunity. Sung-moo, who was returning to his home country the following week, gave her a painting as a farewell gift. Leaving the supermarket, Hyun-cheol received a call from the mistress, offering information about the mastermind in exchange for his help. "I'm not helping you," he said coldly, hanging up. Back at the bank, he reviewed his notes from the past few weeks, meticulously documenting everything. He then added a new entry. "Today, I start over." As he rode the elevator to confront Jang Chun, memories flooded back. Hyun-cheol applying for the loan, the employee informing Hyun-cheol about their shared name. Hyun-cheol investigating and discovering the loan was actually a transfer. Learning the recipient was on leave, and finally, realizing Jang Chun was responsible for the bank's computer systems. Jang Chun, meanwhile, was treating his burn, recalling his call to Kyung Cheol, ordering him to stop Hyun Cheol B. He was startled to find Hyun Cheol waiting for him. Hyun Cheol laid out all of Jang Chun's crimes. Jang Chun begged for another chance, but Hyun Cheol remained unmoved. He wouldn't tolerate such deceitful manipulation. He went to Jang Chun's office and sat down. "You're a despicable man," he said coldly. Jang Chun feigned ignorance. "Your system ID is JC87. Hyun Cheol B continued, and Jang Chun began to panic. "Want to kneel again?" Hyun Cheol B taunted. Jang Chun argued that exposing the truth would damage the bank's reputation. Scars must be exposed to heal. Hyun Cheol B countered, unafraid. "You're no match for me." He accused Jang Chun of ruining 2 families and killing Kyung Cheol. Jang Chun scoffed, asking for proof. "I am the proof," Hyun Cheol B replied. Jang Chun knew he was defeated. "You should confess," Hyun Cheol B advised, then turned and left. Jang Chun immediately called his contact for a fake passport. Officer Park called. The mistress had confessed everything. A warrant was out for Jang Chun's arrest. Hyun Cheol B thanked him. Hai Jin received a call from Hyun Cheol B. "Let's go on a trip," he said. Hai Jin, overjoyed, started packing. To mitigate the negative publicity, Hyun Cheol B agreed to a televised interview, openly addressing the fraudulent loan scandal and sincerely apologizing to the bank's customers, promising it would never happen again. His interview garnered significant attention. His colleagues praised his decision, noting how it had actually strengthened customer trust. A stylish woman with short hair, Hyun Soo, arrived at his office, introducing herself enthusiastically. Hyun Cheol B, however, was unimpressed. He'd already learned she was the new chairman's niece. "I don't need employees like you," he said bluntly, cutting her off mid-sentence. He dismissed her curtly, telling her to leave and wait while he finished his work. He had plans to clean house, starting with nepotism. The transformation was complete. He then received a sweet text from Hai Jin and quickly called her back. "I've packed your clothes for tomorrow," she told him. "What are we doing?" he asked. "Eating whole raw fish and walking on the beach at night," she replied. "But mostly just being with you. That's all that matters." They made plans for their trip. Just then, Yeon Hwa called, asking him to comfort Jisoo, who was heartbroken. He quickly texted Jisoo, promising to be a better father, telling her he loved her, and adding his signature emoticon. Jisoo immediately left the internet cafe. Mao lamented the situation. It was too late to change the course of their intertwined fates. The next day, Hyun Cheol B picked up Hai Jin for their trip. He carried her bag and opened the car door for her. They were both in high spirits. Unbeknownst to them, Jang Chun was watching from afar. They arrived at their destination and strolled arm in arm, unaware that Jang Chun had followed them. He walked towards the beach, a gun in his hand. As he aimed at Hyun Cheol B, death appeared, stopping the bullet in midair. Jang Chun stared at the fallen bullet, stunned. He fired again and again, but death intercepted every shot. Jang Chun, realizing he was outmatched, fled. "I'll get him," Hyun Cheol B said, starting after him. "Don't," Hai Jin cried, but he couldn't let Jang Chun escape. "Wait here," he said, running after him. Hai Jin watched him go, her heart pounding with fear. Alerted by the gunshots, Officer Park joined the pursuit. Hyun Cheol B chased Jang Chun, relaying his location to Officer Park over the phone. They cornered Jang Chun and arrested him. Hyun Cheol B returned to Hai Jin, who rushed into his arms, relieved. They took selfies on the beach. A happy couple, their ordeal seemingly behind them. They drove home holding hands. That evening, Jisoo went to her mother's room. "I'll be your daughter again in my next life," she whispered, then asked, "Do you regret letting him go?" "I regret not stopping him from going to the bank," Yeon Hwa replied sadly. "If I had, the accident wouldn't have happened." The next day, Yeon Hwa worked even harder, determined to achieve her dream of becoming a top insurance agent. But she faced constant rejection. Discouraged, she went to the park to rest. Death appeared beside her. "I didn't call you," Yeon Hwa said, surprised. "I'm leaving," Death announced. "You have to take care of yourself when I'm gone." "Where are you going?" she asked. "Far away," he replied. He then asked about her wish. "I want to be the top insurance agent," she said. As they parted ways, the chef's soul fully integrated with the bank manager's body and quickly led the branch to the top spot. Jang Chun still refused to confess, insisting the police had no evidence. "Where's the 9 billion won that was transferred to your account?" Officer Park asked. "Why is your balance 0? Jang Chun frantically checked his account. "Where's my money?" he shrieked. Meanwhile, at the bank, an employee opened the vault and screamed, then called his colleagues back. The vault was overflowing with cash. The businessman whose loan Hyun Cheol-bi had approved was thriving and called to express his gratitude. Ji-soo brought Hyun Cheol-bi his old phone. "Do you still need this?" she asked, hoping he would reclaim his former identity. He returned it to her. "I can't go back," he said gently. "I'm not Chef Hyun Cheol anymore. I'm the bank manager. I'm still your father, but I can't be the man you want me to be. I can't go back to that life. You're terrible." Ji-soo cried, running away. Death, preparing to leave Earth, silently apologized to Yeon-hwa. He cast a final unseen spell on her, then departed. Through her hard work and Death's subtle assistance, Yeon-hwa finally became the company's top insurance agent. That evening, Hyun Cheol-bi had dinner with Yeon-hwa and her father. He offered to buy them a new house, but they refused. "Accept it," Ji-soo urged. "He wants to make amends. Refusing will only hurt him." The next day, Ji-soo and Kang-ho argued. "That's my father's body," Kang-ho insisted. "So technically he's my dad." "The soul is what matters," Ji-soo countered. "The body is just a shell. Without my father's body," Kang-ho retorted, "your dad wouldn't exist." They started fighting. They ended up at the police station. Hae-jin arrived and sent Kang-ho home. "I need to talk to Ji-soo," she said. Ji-soo apologized to Hae-jin and then tearfully explained her grief and confusion. "I went through the pain of losing my father. Then he came back and made me believe he was really him. Now I have to let him go again. I hate him," she sobbed. "This isn't something a daughter should understand, but the adults expect me to. All I can do is hate him." Hae-jin tried to comfort her, but Ji-soo excused herself and hurried away. Yeon-hwa was waiting outside when Ji-soo returned. "Why were you at the police station?" she asked. "It was nothing," Ji-soo replied, then added, "Don't wait for him like this. It's embarrassing. Seeing you like this breaks my heart," Yeon-hwa said sadly. Later, she went to Ji-soo's room and apologized. "It's not your fault," Ji-soo said, and they hugged, both crying. The next day, they talked about death. Yeon-hwa mentioned how he had saved both her father and Ji-soo, and even repaired Hyun Cheol-bi's phone. Ji-soo showed her a drawing of death. "Is this him?" she asked. "Yes," Yeon-hwa replied, surprised. "That's him. Call him," Ji-soo urged. "His phone's disconnected," Yeon-hwa said. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Ji-soo asked, disappointed. Yeon-hwa then mentioned death granting her wish, jokingly adding, "I should have wished for a handsome boyfriend." Hyun Cheol-bi visited Ji-soo at school, mentioning her upcoming field trip and offering to make her gimbap. "I'll ask Mom," Ji-soo replied. He also bought her a new dress. Back home, Ji-soo examined the dress. "So old-fashioned," she muttered, but as she tried it on, a smile touched her lips. Hae-jin was cooking when Hyun Cheol-bi called, asking if she needed anything. She checked the refrigerator and rattled off a list. He went to the supermarket and ran into Yeon-hwa. "Stop making gimbap for Ji-soo," she said coldly. He didn't reply, then offered her a ride home. His car was blocked by a delivery truck. He called to have it moved, waiting impatiently. As he finally pulled away, Yeon-hwa, waiting for him, was bumped by a passerby, dropping her groceries. Yeon-hwa gathered the scattered fruit. Suddenly, headlights illuminated her. A tragic accident unfolded. Hyun Cheol-bi returned to find a crowd gathered. He saw Yeon-hwa lying motionless on the ground and froze, his blood running cold. He rushed her to the hospital. Ji-soo arrived, screaming at him to leave. Despite the doctor's efforts, Yeon-hwa died. Death, sensing her passing, wept. His mistake had cost Yeon-hwa her life. Ji-soo sobbed uncontrollably, calling out for her mother. Hyun Cheol-bi stood in stunned silence, tears of regret streaming down his face. He blamed himself. If he hadn't offered her a ride, if his soul hadn't been misplaced, she would still be alive. He looked up, a newfound resolve in his eyes. Yeon-hwa's unexpected death brought death back to Earth. He spoke with Hyun Cheol-bi, who made a profound decision. Back at Hae-jin's house, he wrote something in his notebook, then went to bed and held her close. "Why are you looking at me like that?" she asked, sensing a shift in him. "There's something I have to tell you," he said. He didn't know if his feelings were the banker's or the chef's, but he knew one thing for sure. He loved her. "I have something to tell you, too," she replied. "But I can't say it now." She sensed he was leaving. He leaned in and kissed her, the only kiss in the entire drama, then held her tighter. Death, meanwhile, used his powers to rewind time, reversing everything to the day before their accidents. The bank manager was his cold, distant self, Hai Jin was planning to divorce him. Hyun Cheol-bi was busy cooking in his restaurant. Everything was as it should be. Yeon Hwa was clearing the tables in the restaurant when Hyun Cheol-bi hurried out of the kitchen. Just then, Hai Jin arrived. "It's 3 p.m." she apologized. "I didn't want to interrupt your break." "No problem," he replied. "What's good here?" she asked, looking at the menu. "Everything we make is delicious," he said, smiling. At the bank, Hyun Cheol was training an employee. After the employee left, Vice President Yuk inquired about the critique. Hyun Cheol hadn't criticized him, instead telling a joke that fell flat. Meanwhile, Hyun Cheol-bi was being affectionate with his wife. Hyun Cheol received a call from Chairman Kim about a meeting with Chairman Lee of 5-Star Group. After hanging up, flashes of memories from before the time loop flooded his mind. He then encountered the mistress, who tried to corner him, but he pushed her away, leaving her confused. In his car, he flashed back to the accident, and then received another call from Chairman Kim. This time, he refused the meeting and stated he wouldn't approve 5-Star Group's loan. Chairman Kim was taken aback. The mistress waited for him with wine, but he didn't show up. Instead, going home to Hai Jin, he found a birthday gift on the table. He opened it, revealing a book. It morphed into the gift Kang Ho had given him. Hai Jin arrived home and prepared dinner. "Let's eat together," he said, surprising her. He asked about her job at the supermarket. "I want to earn my own money," she explained. "You loved photography," he said. "Why don't you pursue that again? Think about it. Do you want to keep working at the supermarket or start over?" Hai Jin was bewildered by his sudden change of heart. He even knew the ingredients in her seaweed soup, further deepening her confusion. Hyun Cheol-bi returned to his own home, where his family celebrated his birthday. As Hyun Cheol slept, he dreamt of the events before the time loop, waking up with a start. He went to his study and retrieved the notebook, reading about the future he'd already lived. The next morning, choosing a tie, he felt a sudden unease and decided not to wear the one the mistress had given him. As he was about to leave for work, he flashed back to the accident and decided not to drive. Hyun Cheol-bi went to the bank to apply for a loan. The employee informed him he already had one, but he insisted he hadn't. He called his former boss, asking if the restaurant had any outstanding loans. At that moment, Hyun Cheol entered, saw Hyun Cheol-bi's loan record, and questioned the employee. He immediately called to investigate, discovering the loan was linked to an employee on leave. During the call, he flashed back to the events before the time loop, and a sense of dread washed over him. He told Hyun Cheol-bi he would look into it. He made another call and quickly identified Jang Chun as the culprit. Hyun Cheol-bi returned to the restaurant and told Yeon Hwa about the loan. "That's impossible," she said. "I'll check with the bank," he insisted, hurrying out. Just then, Yeon Hwa received a call from Hyun Cheol, telling her to stop Hyun Cheol-bi. She rushed out and intercepted him. "Hyun Cheol wants to see you at the bank," she explained. Hyun Cheol waited in his office, flashes of memory, both his and Hyun Cheol-bi's, growing stronger. He was regaining memories from both timelines. Hyun Cheol-bi arrived. Hyun Cheol looked at him, a strange sense of familiarity washing over him, though he couldn't explain it. "Your loan is fraudulent," he told Hyun Cheol-bi. "I apologize. We'll process a legitimate loan for you. First time I've met someone with the same name." Hyun Cheol-bi chuckled. He returned to the restaurant and told Yeon Hwa about the encounter. Hyun Cheol, now experiencing vivid memories from the previous timeline, rushed to the police station and found Officer Park, who looked at him in bewilderment. "Arrest Hyun Cheol," he insisted, giving Officer Park his and Hyun Cheol-bi's license plate numbers. "He's going to sabotage both our cars today." Officer Park, considering the information Hyun Cheol had provided before, decided to trust him. Hyun Cheol immediately called Hyun Cheol-bi, warning him not to drive. Hyun Cheol-bi, puzzled, agreed. Hyun Cheol went to the prosecutor's office and presented evidence of the mistress and Jang Chun's fraud, along with Chairman Kim's involvement with the 5-Star Group loan. Mao found death and remarked, "It seems the higher-ups gave you a big gift, deeper intervention in human lives." Rewinding time was his choice. Death explained. "Which one?" Mao asked, confused. "The one with both sets of memories," Death replied. He knew he'd die, but he chose to do it anyway. "Why not rewind time at the moment of the accident?" Mao asked. "Hyun Cheol would have still died," Death explained. "He wouldn't have come back to life. Hyun Cheol-bi created the miracle, so I gave him a gift." "What gift?" Mao asked, curious. "He retained his memories, even after the rewind," Death revealed. Mao was impressed. Death added that Yeon Hwa would also find happiness. Hyun Cheol, filled with a mix of emotions, visited the Chinese restaurant and watched Hyun Cheol-B's family taking happy selfies. That evening, Hae-jin had dinner waiting. "I'm hungry," he announced. Hae-jin looked at him, puzzled by his warmer tone. Only Hyun Cheol retained memories of the previous timeline. "Have you eaten?" he asked during dinner, surprising her. She paused, then looked at him, her eyes questioning. "Don't clean up yet," he said. "Let's eat together." He then asked Kang Ho about his treasure hunt. "How did you know?" Kang Ho asked, stunned. Instead of scolding him, Hyun Cheol encouraged him. "Let me see what you find," he said. Hae-jin stared at him, bewildered. He then turned to his daughter. "You don't have to be number one in your class," he said gently. "I don't want you stressing over grades. Just eat well and be healthy." She looked at him, puzzled, but nodded. Later, as Hae-jin cleaned up, he told her to rest, and that he would do the dishes. "What's gotten into you?" she asked, unable to hide her surprise. He didn't answer but invited her for a walk. "I'm sorry," he said as they walked. "Give me another chance." She walked ahead, and he reached for her hand, but she pulled away playfully. As they were getting ready for bed, he suddenly suggested a trip. "I'll think about it," she replied, then turned on her side, a small smile playing on her lips. Hae-jin lay awake, wondering what was going on with her husband. He was acting so strangely, and he was smiling to himself. He remembered how much he loved her before the accident. With his memories restored, he was determined to start over with her. The next morning, he watched her intently as she drank her juice. Uncomfortable under his gaze, she excused herself, wondering if something was wrong with him. He was also different at work, less harsh and more encouraging. At school, Kang Ho and Ji-soo bumped into each other, still awkward and resentful. Acting on Hyun Cheol's tip, Officer Park arrested Kyung Cheol. Jang Chun and the mistress were also apprehended. Hyun Cheol visited Hyun Cheol-B's old house, a wave of emotions washing over him as he gazed at the familiar, yet now foreign, building. As he turned to leave, Yeon Hwa opened the door. Learning he was the bank manager, she gave him a gift to thank him for approving their loan. He opened it to find an orange t-shirt, identical to the one she'd given her husband for his birthday. Just then, Hae-jin called about their trip. "Nami Island," he said, knowing it was her favorite destination, surprising her again. She had never told him about it. The film ends with Hyun Cheol walking through a green field, looking up at the sky, grateful for the miracle, and vowing to live his life to the fullest. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great dramas. See you next time.